Yeah, it's
Like, bro, you don't
it
have
wouldn't
enough
surprise
stuff to
me
play.
if they were literally competing.
Here we go, everybody.
Yep.
Starting that show up, and I gotta be honest with you guys, what a relief to be back, huh? We took a week off. I hope everybody can hear. Make sure that the audio is right. Please, guys, tweet it out while we do this little intro here and get started. Last week we were off. Mooch took a little vacation. Listen, you know, Italian people have cement feet. It's not just a joke from the old days, okay? We don't move very far. We don't usually go very far. So for me to actually take a week off was a lot of work. It's a lot of work for me. It is what it is. But nonetheless, it's great to be back here. And I did keep up with the news while I was away. Nothing like doing some fine reading, a little sanding your toes and reading about the FTC. Nothing like that. It's a peaceful getaway. I've got an outstanding panel, as you guys can see right here. Look at these guys. These guys took their Friday night to come and hang out with us. I want to thank everybody for being here. Again, please take a second. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. And if you will, take a look at that great description down there. If you look at that description, you'll see right above it is the join button. That's the amazing way to join the Mooch Maniac family members. And I see a bunch of you guys already here. I see Kratos. I see BB12. I see Domino Zero, the great Jimmy Harrison, RP Gaming, Domino Zero. You guys are all shuffling in. Means the world to me, guys. Good to be back. Man, you know, I put it in all of my titles. Love podcasting. Love talking about gaming. Love the industry. Really missed it last week. It's tough to not be a part of it when you're a part of it in and out every single week. That being said, guys, let me thank each one of these Mooch Maniac family members. Some people even joined the channel when I was away. I can't say thank you enough. The great Sir X-Man, JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, MumbleRanting Gaming, Tyson Web 509, TrueWiddy, Big Chuck 777, Alphonso Carter, BRAP, who you're going to hear from soon, Jamie, Damion, the great Jimmy Harrison, who's here in chat, Andy Hart, Red Hood 420, Hamsolo05, Rob Jones, DadOfWar, Night Ripper 7, Totodope, ThumbsThumbs, JC 2013, Passive Profit, DexFlex 27, Lord Metroid, who's here as well, Rabbit Got the Gun, Fastbender, Archwar Angel, Biggity 08, Sonyverse, our major Mooch Maniacs, RP Gaming, Sergeant 12, Julian Johnson, your boy Roy, who's here, Scolari Brothers, Smokes 901, DC Gaming, Miko, Gaming with Persona, and Jay Bari. Both they're back, by the way, tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Go over and check out What's Up PlayStation. Again, 11 a.m. Eastern every Saturday. That's how I start my Saturdays. Supreme Samurai, Tactical Gamer, Danelle Brown, that guy Spinny, Brian B, a.k.a. Delirium Blades, who got me all set up on the Asus ROG Ally, and I always say that name wrong, but thank you to Blades for setting me up with that device before I hit the road. And their VIP Mooch Maniacs, Button Basher Podcast, who you're going to hear from real soon, Raji, Domino Zero, Shadow Assassin, the Wise Old Gamer, and our honorable mentions are out there now. Food, water, or toilet, please come home. Snoople, Poxgate on, 4-Star General, where are you? Marty the Ambassador, Bison, Isaac Gentry, and get this work! Shout out to the forever Mooch Maniacs, by the way, as well. The great Longshot 316 and the great Optimus Code. And, you know, honestly, that's just too kind. The great Slow-Mo Backslap, who you're going to hear literally in moments, just joined the family. Slow-Mo, I'll say this right now. Thank you so much, man. That means the world to me to have you.
I had already done it, but I guess I'm old now, so I can't tell when I've done things, and I forget. So my bad. You know,
I forget as well, buddy. Believe me, I forgot today was Friday when I touched down late last night. Believe me. The great Sir X-Man says, developers. Missed that video too. The great Sir X-Man. Great to have him here. Zuby Tech, who's here from the England, the other side of the channel. I appreciate that, Zuby. I know it's late over there, so it means the world to have you here in the audience with us. That being said, guys, let me go ahead and start with this amazing panel. Let's get right to it, because some guys are coming later. Some guys have to leave a little earlier. And the Mag, he says, I look forward to a great show. Let's go, boys. The Mag. Great to have the Mag here. Mag is Mooch. He's Mooch. I don't like how to say Mooch, too. He's Mooch. When he's on the show, I just go out and get a pizza. He runs the whole thing. So shout out to the Mag. Outstanding person in the community. And Eric83 says, first thing I did with the ROG Ally is delete Game Pass doc. Oh, all right. So listen, let's not start like that. The audience is starting Crossfire with my panel. This is unbelievable. Let me start with the one and only. You guys are going to hear from him all night long. The great Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. BRAP calls me up at 5 p.m. Eastern, gets my blood pressure way too high before the show. BRAP, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Hey, Mooch, I'm doing great. That was a great conversation at 5 o'clock.
Great. Absolutely,
it was great.
buddy. I loved it.
Hey, it's great to You know, it's great. It's great to be back.
It
It's great
is.
to be back on Crossfire.
I appreciate that,
Missed
man.
you last week.
Thank
Great
you.
catching up earlier today. It's great to be back. It's gonna be a great show.
It's going to be a great show. Look at this panel. How can it not be a great show? I'm very excited, BRAP. Great to have you here. And let me just go right to the great Slow-Mo Backslap. Listen, Slow-Mo, no DPS this week because, of course, I come back on time for a DPS show. And, of course, Forte sails out. No, just giving Slow-Mo a little bit of jab there. We missed you last night, buddy, but welcome to the show tonight. How you doing?
Doing good, man. You know, actually not doing the show last night gives me a little bit more energy for tonight. You know, I might be a little bit more animated. Than
A little
usual,
spicy
you know?
tonight.
We'll see what happens. You know, we see how it goes. But no, I've been doing good, man. Just built a new PC. You know,
Saw that.
even more powerful than those half measures you guys call consoles. It's great, man. I'm having a great time.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get into a little bit of that PC talk as well, Slow-Mo, so it's great to have you here tonight. But, you know, when things happen the way they're happening, you guys know I have to make the call, right? I have to put the light out. It reaches from New York all the way down to Florida. The great Eric Jackson, you guys know him as the voice of reason. E, welcome back to the show, buddy. Great to have you here tonight. And listen, there may be some ridiculousness, and I'll take a little bit of that blame myself. If there is, E, will you please make sure to keep the panel in line? E, how you doing tonight?
I will do my best, but I don't know, man. The way things have been going lately, I might lose my mind tonight.
It very well may happen that
Everyone
way,
else is
Eric.
going crazy. I mean, you watch the timelines. Everyone's lawyers now. They know how to
Yes!
break down court cases. They know what judges are saying nonstop.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild out there.
I'm gonna have to object to that statement. Objection.
Objection
Apparently-
overruled.
Apparently,
Basher.
they know how the judges feel. They can predict the future. I mean,
Yes.
Oh
I-
my God.
No, Doc.
I'm waiting for someone to play the lotto for me. Give me those lotto numbers.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
They got that.
Maybe
They use their
Doc can
power
do
for the
that.
wrong thing.
Well, it's
Yeah,
great to
maybe
have
Doc
E
can find the
here,
lotto
and
numbers.
I got to tell you, E, we're going to need your help tonight. Shout out to the great C-Note Matthews Jr. Guys, in case you don't remember, I do want to give a shout out to C-Note. He's the one that did all the amazing mix music for when we did The Last of Us on HBO special. So in case you liked
It's
any
fire,
of that,
man.
thank you, E. Honestly, it was. Shout out to C-Note Matthews Jr. for his double album releasing in December. Guys, please go over and check it out. You can see the name right there. That's him on Twitter. Follow him. He's always putting his music out there. He's always putting dates of release out there. Sino, thank you for being here, buddy, and being a big fan of the show. I really appreciate it. You know, listen, Doc's already getting a couple of hits here and there, and that's not the thing. I needed to hear from Doc, because that's the one thing. I'll just say, usually Doc is just one of the loudest guys, and I love it, because I'm loud, he's loud. I'm like, this man is got to be all over Twitter. So I found some things, but I go, I got to talk to this man when I get home. Doc, there could not be a better time to have you on the show than tonight. So, Doc, how you doing tonight?
I am doing outstanding, Mooch. I gotta say thank you. Shout out to the panel. Shout out to the chat. Thank you so much for having me on tonight. Because I came tonight, I said, okay, what can I do? What can I do for me, for this weekend, for me? I need clarity. So I'm glad that we have all these lawyers on here that know exactly what's going on. It's funny that you said that, because I tweeted out right before, maybe a few hours ago, I couldn't even plan this even better. I woke up this morning and literally on my timeline, it was Kid Smooth, and right under him, it was Sick Humor. And both of them were talking about the judges.
Yes.
One of them was saying that the judge was for Xbox, and the other one was saying that the judge was anti-Xbox. I was like, you can't make this stuff up.
I saw that tweet.
I have no idea who's winning, who's losing, what's happening. I have no idea. All I know is that I got a Xbox Series S that I guess that's what Microsoft can. But we'll talk about that a little bit later.
We certainly will, Doc. And Button Basher Podcast returns to the show. Buddy, I got to tell you, the first thing I said to Basher once we got done with our mic checks was, I said, Basher, please tell me you're doing a show tonight. He says, yes, we are. We're going 10 p.m. Eastern tonight. So as soon as Basher gets done doing 2 hours of Crossfire, we're going to promote it at the end of the show as well. Please go over and check him out. Outstanding show that he does. Basher, welcome back to the show, buddy. Been too long, even though it's only been about 4 weeks. It's been too damn long. How you doing this evening?
Good, I'm good. Somehow, some way, I got FF16, I got Legend of Zelda, Resident Evil 4 remake, Dead Space remake, and I find myself just paying attention to a courtroom.
Yes.
It's really sad.
Yeah. Welcome gaming in 2023. What can we do? Let me do this, though. Let's start the show off. I know everybody here is excited. Please tweet it out, guys. Let everybody know that we are live. That means the world to me, because especially if we take a week off on YouTube. That a week off on YouTube is equivalent to like disappearing for half of a year. So nonetheless, let people know that we are here. Hit that like button. But, you know, Doc, I do want to start with you. first and foremost. Because you may have to leave a little bit early, and I really do want to get your take on this. I just want the overall synopsis. What's transpired over the past week? Where are we right now with what you heard? And I have a bunch of different notes here that we'll go over as far as emails that came out. We saw the Matt Booty stuff. We saw what came out from, I believe it was the CFO and Stewart, and then, some of the Phil Spencer responses on the emails. But Doc, where are you right now? The cases, well, this is the preliminary, by the way. This is just to actually say, is it the injunction? I know BRAP will correct me on a couple of my terminology points here. But this is to allow whether or not they're going to go forward and allow the FTC more time to get their case in order. This isn't necessarily for the block. So, Doc, where are you after we heard the closing statements yesterday?
So, my mentality in all of this is utter confusion. I really don't know who is presenting the better case, because it looks like whoever is interpreting it is deciding whether or not this is good or this is not good. What has came out though from this freaking trial or whatever it is that you can see clearly that Microsoft is about their money, right? And that's how it should be. That's what they should care about.
Yes.
But nowhere in this trial do I hear Microsoft talking, and maybe it's done that way strategically, about things that are permanently going to make my gaming experience better. So that's why for me it's hard to sit there and actually listen and follow this, because as I'm sitting here, I'm watching everything else that's happening. They're making it very clear how they want to expand and everything, and it's going to be for their bottom dollar, their profit, which is what they should care about again. But I need to care about my gaming experience. So I am in a very rough place right now with Microsoft, because this trial is pushing that narrative that they want to be a third-party publisher. I know a lot of people are not going to like that, but listen to me very clearly. There's a lot of gamers out there that currently play Xbox games on a PC. And Xbox is perfectly fine with that. That would be Xbox being a third-party publisher for that PC. So as I sit here with my Xbox Series X, I don't see anything in this trial that makes my Xbox Series X experience better. What it will do, if this thing does go through, potentially, is make my Game Pass experience better, which I am a Game Pass gamer. So that means sooner or later, it might be time for me to go over to PC. That's how I feel right now.
All right, Jay, I hear you. You're hearing it.
Smart man
is already here, sir. I'm just letting
smart
you know.
man, Doc.
No,
We'll
Doc,
welcome
actually,
you with open arms.
Jay, you were kind of. I heard a little bit of heavy breathing there. Jay, you may have a rebuttal to this. I mean, do you agree with what Doc's saying?
Not a rebuttal. Just I'm glad my brother is finally waking up to reality of what I've been seeing for such a long time, and that is the console is an afterthought. And it's been uncovered through those leaked emails and stuff during the court case, from what I saw on Twitter, is that Microsoft keeps floating this idea out there, and where it's like, we don't care about the console itself. They really care about mobile, cell phones, cloud, and PC.
Yeah.
And you guys know that there's more PC Game Pass subscribers than console. The numbers just came out. The console is sitting just at 20, 21 million in 3 years. And I think Sony is sitting somewhere around 40, 45, 50 or whatever. So they've made a concerted effort to tell you that, and they've been doing this for quite some years now. Remember the whole play anywhere, wherever you want, we don't care.
Right.
But they really don't even mention the console at all. It's really about the PC and the mobile. And this trial and the stuff that comes out of this trial is reiterating that.
Yeah.
And just like, Slow-Mo just got through talking about, him building a new PC. Now my brother Dark Doc is going the PC route, and Microsoft is perfectly fine with that. And so I keep telling people, Microsoft hasn't made any money on the console itself at all. Matter of fact, they're losing $100 to $200. And they said this. I didn't say this. On these consoles. So if that's the case, I can see a near future where they just seriously, like he said, just become a third-party publisher. You can play the game on the PC. You can play it on wherever you want, and it is what it is. But me as a console, I'm a console gamer. Yes, I have PC. Yes, I game a lot on PC. But I play a lot on a bunch of other stuff too. But just that realization, we've never seen Sony out there saying that the PlayStation isn't like treating it or saying that it's an afterthought. That is like, as a gamer who my first console was like a NES, played a lot on Atari 2600 and on and on and on through all the generations. That is like a stab in my heart. I don't want the console to go away.
Right.
I want the console to be there. It may be there in some capacity, but maybe I'm a relic now. But I really wanted them to fight console for console, game for game, and right now that's not the route that Microsoft wants. And this court case surely shows that that's not what they're about. So
yeah, a lot of laundry came out in this court hearing, right? And I don't know if Microsoft ever really wanted it to get this far. And we had people on the show for the past year and change that have told me, and a lot of you guys were on this show when we've had these folks on. They're like, Mooch, listen, I know you're bringing it up because you have to talk about it, but realistically, this thing is a done deal. They were saying this a year ago. Remember, it's a done deal.
Yeah,
it's over.
Yeah.
This is happening. I don't know why you're even talking about it. It's not over. It's not a done deal. And I don't know if Microsoft wanted all of this information to come out the way it did, because honestly, I think, and Jay, you've alluded to this on Twitter, even if Microsoft wins and ends up getting this, the amount of information that's come out that hasn't really made them look like the good guys anymore is staggering.
But there's not really a such thing as good guys. Like,
well, right. Thank you, Slow-Mo.
Believe in good guys are, frankly, I mean, just guys like fanatics. They're
true.
Right.
There's some good guys. Like Sony doesn't love you.
It's the persona
that doesn't think you're awesome.
It's the persona though. It's the persona that Phil is the good guy, right? Everyone calls him the good guy. He's such a nice guy. He flies me out. He buys me drinks. He woos me. He does all of this stuff, right?
But then he leans into it, and he should.
Listen, he should. I'm not blaming him at all. I'm not blaming him at all. Every executive is like that. I'm not blaming him. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. What I'm saying is,
but it's not good guy. It's the pro consumer thing. That's what I saw the most. The pro consumer thing. Now here's the deal. Here's the deal. Because I hear you, Jay. I hear what you're saying, and I could understand what you're saying. Because you're saying as a console gamer, listen, if you are a Series S owner and you were okay getting the Series S, Phil still satisfies you. Because you knew that you were getting a weaker console. The people that are really getting screwed is anyone that purchased the $500 Series X.
True.
If you're a PC gamer, you're still doing good. It's still pro-consumer. Game Pass is still a great value for you. Hence why there's so many people that subscribe to Game Pass on PC. It is the console gamer that is getting screwed, specifically the one that has the Series X. And before anybody in chat gets mad at me, because yes, I'm known as the Xbox guy, this is not my fault. Microsoft, Xbox themselves are not proving why the heck I need a Series X.
Yeah.
A Series S is beautiful. I'm telling you right now, there's plenty of scenarios, plenty of people where the Series S does make sense. You'd be surprised how many people don't really care how many pixels are on the screen.
That's
more than us, trust me. So a $300 console that can still play the 2K, the Madden, and all that other stuff. And then, by the way, look at all these old games that we consider old that people still haven't played yet. Listen, pro consumer, they still are. The problem is what they did to me. And that's what I have a problem. You can screw everybody else over. I don't care. When you screw me over, now I got a problem.
So you're upset about the world's most powerful console with 12 T-flops and all the other stuff that's built into it. So you're upset about that because you paid $500 for that, and it seems like that's an afterthought. Whereas it's to the point where they're making another iteration of the Series S, which is showing you where their focus is and what they really care about.
They had the gall to drop a first-person shooter at 30 frames per second.
Well, why would they do that? Because
first party, by the way.
Why would they do that? They're tuned into their base to their detriment, right? And what I was going to say is this whole Series X thing is nothing new. We've been saying this particularly back on BRAP, with the blocks to prove it, that from the moment they introduced the 1X, they had nothing to pair with it to show why this thing needed to exist, except for the fact that they listened to the base that kept going, we don't want to lose the power narrative anymore. Phil refuses to lose the power narrative. Right?
Can I chime in on something? Can I chime in on something real quick right now? This 30 frames per second conversation, I think really needs to come to an end. I think it's getting stagnant at this point in time. I understand people are using that as a conversation starter, but the reality is that if you're going to sit here and you're going to say that 30 frames per second is the basis to which you think a game needs to be judged upon to be a good game, then you're forgetting that pretty much every single major Sony first-party title has launched at 30 frames per second. Uncharted, God of War, The Last of Us. The list goes on and on and on.
Are you talking about
Wait,
Are you talking about this generation or last generation?
What?
Let me finish what I'm saying first.
Okay,
Hey, Mooch, we about to start.
Well, this is CrossFire. Go ahead.
I'm saying to you and to the panel that 30 frames per second is not why Redfall is shit. Redfall is shit because it's shit. In general,
it's shittier because it's 30 frames per second, but it's
Yeah.
shittier on console.
No. You have to.
It's shittier on console.
You need to clarify because Sony doesn't have one single first-party next-generation game. Matter of fact, it doesn't matter if it's cross-gen. Hold on. Let me finish. Sony doesn't have one single next-generation game or cross-gen game on the PS5 that's 30 frames only. Their support performance modes, 120 modes, 60 frames, 120 frames, VR,
besides Ratchet and Clank, every single game that is going over to a more powerful hardware obviously is running at higher frames. But these are PS4 games going to PS5.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the fact that Sony's titles, 80% of their titles that are going over to PlayStation right now, and I'm a PlayStation fan, and I can say this wholeheartedly. 80% of their titles are PS4 titles that are running 60 frames on next-gen hardware. Besides Ratchet and Clank, name me something else. Name me a Sony.
Gran Turismo, 120 frames a second.
Hold on, Jacob. I never thought I would join you, Jacob.
They don't have one single first-party game that does not have all of their modes. So what are you talking about?
Hey, let me ask this: You think Spider-Man's gonna drop at 30?
I think Spider-Man will have a performance mode.
Of course it will. So there you go. Of course it will. It's not even a question. Of course it will.
Every single
we're talking about right now. We're not talking about the future.
What are you talking about?
Well, the thing is, Basher.
We're talking about right now.
What you're trying to do, you're trying to drag PlayStation, right? The console that has the options that Xbox should be having, right? You're trying to drag them into the funk that Xbox in, and the problem is
I'm not trying to drag anybody.
You have the world's most powerful console with 12 T-flops, and not one single first-party game that is released yet has not even a 60-frame mode option, let alone 120, let alone ray tracing or any of the next generation features.
Jay, damn it! You made your point, Jay. That's it.
I'm gonna double down.
That's enough.
I see where the thing is in Basher, when you go to the PS4 or the cross-gen games that you're talking about, I see what you're saying. But we did, and you even said it, Basher. You were saying Ratchet and Clank came out and had that 60 frame option. I believe Returnal also did. And
120.
Demon Souls was 60.
They're all 120. They're all 120, 60, and 30. They all have all the options, including ray tracing.
You're talking about cross-generation titles still.
What do you? Let's focus.
Demon Souls.
Every single Sony next gen game.
Wait. Neither is Returnal.
It don't matter whether it's cross gen or it's next gen only. All of them have options.
The Horizon DLC just came out as PS5 only. That's 60. I mean, so.
Yes.
Yep.
I think when it comes down to, let's
be honest here. Let's be honest here and say, no. You gotta call square. Let's be honest here. Not any of the next gen consoles have offered true next gen experiences. That's point blank.
PlayStation
Wait, can y'all hear me? I don't even know if y'all can hear me because I'm on my phone. Just let me know if y'all can hear me.
Nick,
Listen,
Thresh, we hear you, Thresh.
We hear you. What is next gen? Next gen, right? To what was advertised to the gamers. Next generation is you're gonna have your 60 frames. You're gonna have your 120 frames. You're gonna have your ray tracing. You're gonna have your 3D audio. You're gonna have your instant loading. You're gonna have all of these features are in the next generation set. And majority Xbox doesn't even have any of this shit in their next generation games. Sony has it not only in their next generation games, but their cross-gen games. So what are you talking about?
This is the point I'm trying to make here. You know, this conversation, and Thresh, I'm going to give you the mic because I know that we got to let Thresh is on the phone. By the way, he's calling in. Shout out to Thresh for being here. And I want to say also, shout out to Silent Merc. Thank you for becoming a Mooch Maniac family member and gifting that out. But, you know, Thresh, the one point that this conversation that's got Jay and Basher going, which I appreciate, by the way, all kind of comes back to the fact that here we are years into the Xbox Series console, especially the Series X, right? And we don't have that 60 frame option on new generation games like
Which
Redfall.
is terrible.
Yeah. Right.
But that's a bare minimum.
It is
60 frames.
It is a bare minimum.
Ray tracing? What about what about the rest of the next gen features? Like, come on, what are we doing here?
So they're
the ones that said it's baked into the chip. They're the ones that had the full RDNA 2. They're the ones that had the VRR, the VRS.
That's enough. Hey, that's enough, Jay. I can't take too much.
Okay. My bad. I'm gonna come down. Let me come down.
So listen, Doc, I want to get Thresh in here because he's on the road and I appreciate him calling in. Thresh, honestly, I was asking about the FTC stuff. We kind of got into where the consoles are. My question for you is, where are you on the whole, where we stand today after the closing arguments, A? But B, to piggyback off, I don't want to waste that. With Jay and Basher we're going back and forth on, my biggest concern from this court case is not the Activision. It's the idea that Microsoft keeps acquiring studios, and it seems like the quality continues to drop. So, Thresh, where are you on this whole thing that transpired this week?
Well, I'll be quick because I can't stay on, so I'm gonna be quick as hell. Look, as far as the court case goes, it's one of the most embarrassing outings I've ever seen. I've never seen a judge fight more.
Here we go.
Hey, yo, we can't hear you.
Yeah, Thresh, you cut out a little bit.
Are you away from the mic?
Hey, we heard enough.
Oh, you heard enough, huh? Okay. Look, I'm just being honest. I don't. It's not about. This ain't about the console war no more, bro. The console war is over. It's in the court files, bro. Microsoft has already said there is no console war. The console war is over. They have lost. All right. Absolutely. So I'm not talking about the console war. I don't care about that no more. All I'm saying is that Microsoft is being allowed to have more power than what they should have as being the last place entity in gaming. They obviously aren't giving us what we want as an entire community of gamers. Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, wherever you play at, Microsoft doesn't give us what we want, and it shows in the numbers. As far as where this trial can go, it can go anywhere, any way at this point. And I say that only because the CMA asked one big question that nobody had the answer to, and that was why would it be pro-competitive if Microsoft can choose who they compete with? You heard the statement with Google Stadia. Google Stadia talking about how much it costed them to go on Windows and pay for licensing for Windows, and Microsoft is in control of the Windows licensing fees. And they the only reason why NVIDIA even accepted the deal that they got is because those fees were waived by Microsoft. So that they didn't offer that same thing to Google Stadia. They didn't offer that same thing to Luna. So why is Microsoft, just because they own Windows, they have the ability to choose who actually competes with them, and that's anti-competitive. If there's no other way to either go around that. Just that one point in itself should make this to where Microsoft is blocked, because they have more power than what they can have, and have their actual competitors depending on them to give them a wave to be able to run their services as good as Microsoft can run theirs, or as free, I should say, as Microsoft can run theirs. And because of that, it should be blocked.
So
it's not my feeling. I don't care.
King, let me ask you a question real quick here, and guys on the panel, please get your questions ready or your comments ready. Again, it's Crossfire. I'm not going to go around the table here, but Thresh, I want to ask you, a lot of the stuff that came out from the CMA's findings, they didn't even touch on this past week. We didn't even hear about the CMA's biggest issue was the cloud. They didn't even FTC didn't even get to that part, really.
Nah, because this ain't a real trial. This is just the injunction. This is just a hearing. It's an injunction hearing. So if it's no matter what the judge says, it doesn't mean that it's over or past or anything. They still have to go through things. It's just that Microsoft might be able to buy Activision before they go to trial, which can even cost them even more if they go to trial with the FTC and lose. So, I don't know, man. I just hate to see gamers not realize how bad it actually is. Looking at this court case, it's not about the optics, like you guys are saying. It is the optics, but it's just that they're saying that Xbox is no longer their concern, and that should concern you because you're an Xbox player. Are you going to go to cell phones? Have you seen how crinkled your fingers need to be to play a cell phone game? Are you ready for that type of life? Because if you're not, then you need to speak up and speak up now, because right now they're not focused on you or anything about you. This deal has nothing to do with the Xbox.
No. Okay, there you go. You corrected your statement. This deal has nothing to do with the Xbox.
Nothing to do with Xbox.
The Xbox, but as a PC gamer, you're still good. You're still good. As a PC, again, it's the console gamers are the ones that are getting screwed, bro.
Well, I know, but look, but what make it bad is that they're spending $70 billion to not grow Xbox.
Correct.
That should let you know right there. They're buying the most popular developer in gaming to not grow Xbox, and Xbox is their main gaming spot right now. So that should let you know.
Can I chime in here real quick? Because a lot of
go ahead,
people
Basher.
like, oh, look at this Xbot. Okay, number one, I'm going to be flat out and say this. I'm not happy at all with the next generation. Period. Point blank. From PlayStation to Xbox. Okay? And I'm a PlayStation fan. Okay, and I'm going to say this right now. When I look at PlayStation and I see that basically a large majority of their titles are cross-gen titles that they're bringing over, or we're dealing with remakes or whatever the case may be. Now, that's not true next gen to me. That's not what next gen is about. When I look at Xbox, I don't see a fucking point for them to be in a courtroom and be buying Starfield out because they wanted to have it as an exclusive or what have you, and then say, oh yeah, we lost the console race anyway. So it's like, if you lost and you want to be a fucking publisher, then just be a publisher and leave everybody else alone. Like, what are you doing right now? Why are you even having a conversation? And then on top of everything else, we lose regardless, because if Microsoft backs out, then Sony has all the chips on their side. And you know what happens when a company has all the chips on their side? They start to fuck us over as game players. So we lose no matter what. I think that's what everybody fails to see at this moment in time. Microsoft is fucking shit. They're bowing down. They're like, okay, we lost the console war. We want to be on PC. We want to put Game Pass anyway. We want to be the next Netflix of Game Pass. Fucking fact check here. Netflix is shit now. Okay, we want to do this, we want to do that. We bought this developer because Sony was going to have it as an exclusive, have Starfield as an exclusive. We got fucking scared. Give me a break, dude. Like, what is this at this point in time? This isn't, and people sitting there and fighting on Twitter and taking it personally. These companies don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you.
He just won the podcast.
Like, come on, like, what are we doing here? Gaming is about good games. And what's exclusive on your platform? I don't even want Microsoft to be in this race anymore because it's so fucking pathetic what I'm seeing on their part. And I don't want Sony to be dominant,
man. So what happens if Sony doesn't have any competition at all?
You know what happens? You know what happens? Games is a live service everywhere you fucking look, bro. That's it. That's what happens.
Aren't they making 10 of those?
Yeah, but here's the thing.
I'm done. You want to call me a fucking Xbox and Xbot in the chat because I work for fucking Turn 10 Studios? I don't give a shit. I'm an honest human being. I'll tell you flat out. I play PlayStation, I play Xbox, but you know what? I play a lot of PC as well. And I'm looking at Xbox right now, and I'm not fucking happy. I'm looking at PlayStation, and I'm not fucking happy. I'm looking at the only thing I'm fucking happy with right now is Nintendo Switch, a fucking mobile device in my hand. That's it.
720p, 30 frames per second.
Well, this is why. Okay, now, and I get your point, and it's very, very valid. There's this fear, some kind of way, that if Microsoft doesn't get this deal, or if Microsoft decides to bow out of the console space, that all of a sudden Sony's going to go and do something that, here's the thing about it, right? Microsoft, majority of money doesn't come from Xbox at all. Majority of Sony money come from gaming, come from the PlayStation, right? PlayStation is what keeps the lights on. So they can't afford to do the stuff that you're seeing. They can't. They literally. Hold on. Let me finish real quick. Right? Okay, they physically don't have enough money to be able to do the bullshit, right? They tried it back in the PS3 era. How did that work out for them? So that's, and even Jim Ryan said that's what keeps them fucking, keep them grounded, keep them scared of ending up back where they were when they were, when they were in the red. So here's the thing: they offer a ton of hardware. They're investing in the VR. They're investing in and even in this new mobile console. They're investing in shit that nobody thought that they would be able to because of the lack of funds they have compared to the $3 trillion company. So to automatically say, oh, if Microsoft decides to do this, no. In the gaming space, there's always been a minimum of 3 to 4 people in the game, and when it comes to console, starting all the way back from the beginning, there's always been multiple options.
Well, I hope you're right, bro.
Somebody else. Listen,
I hope you're right.
Listen, Microsoft came in when Sega decided to bow out, right? And guess what? If Microsoft decides to buy out, somebody else will come in. There's always there. Listen, you got everybody trying to get in. Somebody will come in and fill in the space. You got so many other games. I know y'all don't like Tencent. I know y'all don't like Amazon. I know y'all like all this other stuff. But somebody else will step up.
You know what I don't understand?
Hold on.
Let me Slow-mo, go ahead,
Slow-mo. Make a console. We don't know who that somebody is, though. Someone who's going to be able to withstand the initial essentially getting nothing, making nothing, generating zero revenue, and somehow have a killer IP the way Xbox had Halo in the beginning. And the only reason Xbox is even here is because Halo.
Who said you
Jay, I gave you 3 minutes. You give me 30 seconds. Come on. Halo Combat Evolved is the only reason why Xbox is even here.
Great game.
What other company that's a $1 trillion corporation is going to come into this market, get
getting grabbed by the ghoulies?
Not look at PlayStation if Xbox is gone, and then actually have an actual IP that can actually make it work. We saw Google try it. They had no first party. They did already. It's not. It's just not that simple. Like anybody with money can come into the market and be competition. And Sony is not special. Yes. Oh yeah. They want money. They don't want to piss people off. If you're the only game in town, you can do whatever the hell you want. And we've seen it from history.
And that's the danger behind
how they act.
That's a true monopoly at the end of the day.
Job if you got a problem with the price of the console. Also, we saw their trash showcase they did a month ago. Look, they are not special. They're not the Jesus of console of companies.
They are literally the only publisher that can do something like that. That they can go ahead.
Treat us like garbage as soon as they are capable or able to, and there is no one else to check them.
Why are you guys acting like Nintendo don't exist? Why are you acting like PC don't exist? Why are you acting like there's no other options out there?
Nintendo is not going to make a console that actually delivers on the same level in the terms of frame rates. Hold on a minute.
Slow-mo. Whoa.
It gets spliced now.
So are you saying that that sounds like a high-end device?
No, I'm not saying that.
That's exactly.
I am not misconstruing what I'm saying.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. Nintendo's not going to do what?
Okay. I didn't actually say anything because you cut me off before I finished my sentence.
Be careful, Brad.
You got to clip this, Mooch. You got to clip this.
Go ahead, Slow-mo.
Nintendo is not going to make the kind of system that will compete on that level with Sony, with PlayStation.
What level?
They are still competition. They are still competition.
What kind of level, brother? What level?
You know what kind of level?
Name this level.
The kind of level where it's mid power. That level.
Mid power.
It's mid-end. These consoles are straight garbage. Y'all know they straight garbage out here.
For him, it's like saying Handyman 3 times for him.
We beat PlayStation by 3 frames this time. So freaking what? Take your little small piece of trash, piece of plastic, and be happy with what you barely got. And what you barely
turn into a PC gamer.
Slow-mo just admitted there's high-end
No, I
consoles.
didn't admit anything.
He admitted.
You would like me to admit something. There's no such thing as a high-end console. It's like having a luxury Honda
You just
Civic.
said that, Slow-mo.
Well,
You just
You didn't say that.
Listen,
Slow-mo,
the
you
one
may
thing
not
that.
said the exact words, but you described it.
But there's
You would like me to say
We got the
something
audio.
that I didn't
so we
say.
all
You would like me to say that these consoles are high-end Honda Accords, but there's no such thing
for the
as a
record.
high-end Honda Accord.
For the record, everyone on the panel knows what he said.
There's
Yeah,
no
we
such
already
thing.
know.
Look,
We know. We
freaking-
from Crossfire,
freaking
Cross
Final
Lies.
Fantasy 16 drops down to 720p
We get it,
with the
bro.
So wait.
resolution
We got
that
it.
you
We
get
got
on
it,
the
brother.
Nintendo
It's
Switch.
good.
So a lot of-
You don't have
It's all
anything.
good, man. We
You
got
don't
it.
have a counter argument. That's why you over here trying to do high fives with Jay. Because you won zero.
Slow-mo.
You got
Slow-mo.
nothing.
No,
You get nothing.
Slow-mo, now you did.
The Washington Wizards.
Now
You are
now you
the
bring up the
loser.
Wizards. Now you straw man it. Come on, man.
I'm not straw man anything. I already told you. Look, you have frame rates and resolutions that the Switch has right now on these consoles. Do you or do you not? Yes or no?
Wait,
What did you say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
one more time. Wait, what?
what?
I'll
You have
repeat
4K
myself. You
on
have
Switch?
Ain't
frame
no
rate.
4K Switch game. What
You
game
have
is that?
4K on Switch.
Yeah,
Final Fantasy
man.
16.
It's
It's
okay.
emulate
Emulate.
Some ray
Wait,
tracing.
but you have ray tracing on
Some
Switch?
instant loading.
I just said Final Fantasy
Leave
16
him
goes
alone,
on the
okay?
720p on Switch.
Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
I think, listen, here's what I think, though. I think the one thing.
These are resolutions and frame rates you get on the Nintendo Switch. Your trash hardware is no better.
Is Nintendo
Yeah.
Switch a suitable replacement for PS5 or Xbox Series X?
For some people.
That's
For
it.
some people.
It is.
Yeah,
Somebody
for some
wants
people.
somebody wants a high end experience.
If you want a high-end experience, there's only one place to get that.
What is that?
No, that's not what I'm asking you though.
With a
PC.
Nintendo Switch,
Oh,
it's called
oh.
Yuzu.
Okay, if I want a high end experience, should I get a 3050?
Go to Yuzu and
Go to Yuzu. You got the 4K.
Wait.
Well, let me ask you guys a question real quick. You guys,
This PC have 6 ports just this year alone that was running like trash, or even the 4090s was sweating trying to get them to run. Like, come on, like what are we doing here? And we all got
That's a good point.
Everybody on this panel got a 4090, so I don't want to hear it, right? My whole thing. Listen. Oh, okay, so we're gonna say that's not a hardware. No,
You're not gonna answer?
No, I'm gonna answer it. That's you making a great point. No. He just made a great point. What he just said. Is that the developer's fault or is that the hardware fault? And the mere fact that you got games like Horizon, Forbidden West, and Horizon, and GT7, and all this stuff.
Games, but boring as hell. Yes,
No.
beautiful, but boring.
No.
They're beautiful, they're boring, but they're beautiful.
It's not about whether it's boring, whether you think it's good or not. It's not even about that. It's just the fact that those games, right, are beautiful. They got all the next gen tech that was advertised in those things.
Except for
Even better on
You gotta
PC when they come out.
let me finish.
Except for gameplay.
And this is what I'm saying. You get all that shit for a minimum of $399, right? You get all of that for $399 if you got a digital PS for all of that. But then you go and spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, however much thousands on the PC, and all these goddamn games running like trash. So that PC,
you can play 6 days in Fallujah.
let me ask you guys.
You see what I'm saying?
Let me ask you guys a few
see what I'm
questions.
saying?
So you guys make some points
No,
about this.
I
First of
see
all,
what you're saying because when
So,
Horizon Forbidden
Slow-mo.
West comes out on PC, it
if
will
I
run
go
and
and spend
perform better on
$4,000
PC.
on a PC and I'm bragging because it's something, a game would run better on a $4,000 PC than a $399 console. Like that's not really a bragging point, especially when 6 next generation games are running like shit on PC this year, just alone. Like I
How
don't
many
understand
games come out a year? So you're gonna point out 6 games and act like
those.
that's
No,
all
those
the
are
games?
no. I'm saying that's when it comes down to the optimization. Exact same thing with PC. When you're talking about Final Fantasy running 720 and 30 frames and all that stuff, well, that's down to
That's the best
optimization.
your
You know why?
hardware can do with that game engine.
Well, when I bring up
That's the best your hardware can do with that game engine.
when I bring up better looking games, then you start deflecting. When I brought up
I'm not
Horizon
deflecting, 'cause
Forbidden
you haven't
West,
brought
right?
up
When I
better
brought up
looking
Horizon
games.
Forbidden West, when I brought up Horizon Burning
That's
Shores,
not
when I brought
out.
up
That's not out on
GT7.
PC yet. When it comes out on PC, it will be better
What?
on PC. as you already know.
Well,
So
you
do
said, you said
I mean, I don't even know why we on this discussion as it is.
You proving my point.
Let's continue.
Because all those 6 games that I named that was running like shit on PC, right? According to Digital Foundry and according to everybody else who fucking actually bought the games, right? You don't know what you're gonna get until it come on the console. That shit can come out like just like the rest of the games. Like you don't know. And the fact that you spent $4,000 on the PC, and I'm just throwing a number out there. No, I'm just throwing a number out there.
You can make up numbers. I mean, you got accurate number on the lowest end PS5, but you couldn't come up with an accurate number on a PC.
Did you spend $499 on your PC?
I just built the PC
well, then.
for
did you spend $499
less than half of what you just mentioned.
Did you spend $499 though?
No.
Oh, thank you.
I literally
I rest my case.
Come up with accurate numbers for PlayStation, but you can't come up with an accurate number for PC.
Listen, you try to take
you could have bought 3 PS5s. You could have bought 3 PS5s with the amount of money you spent on that one PC.
And you know what? I can do that because I'm a premium gamer. Premium
So wait,
ain't none of y'all out here playing your PS5 on the TCL. You went out and got yourself the LG, the $1,500 LG.
Here's the only thing.
You saying there's high-end devices.
Did you do it, Brad? Hold on. So,
you told me that. You told me that
leave him alone with his high-end devices.
Mooch.
Yes.
About to keep it spicy, Mooch.
Where you were misconstruing the conversation for the fact that no one else
you said they were the same. You said you consider TCLs and C1s 4K TVs.
Eric was
on the internet. It's there forever.
I'll say that.
So listen, I gotta be honest.
I'm gonna reel this back in real quick, okay? To bring the conversation back to where it needs to go.
Thank you, Doc.
Listen. Xbox. Okay, Xbox is messing up when it comes to the console. That's what everyone needs to pay attention to, okay? If you have a PC, you're not worried about the same things. The gamer that's disgruntled and not happy with Xbox are those Xbox console gamers. The Xbox gamer that's playing on PC, you're perfectly fine. You're not worried about Starfield coming out at 30 frames because you're not worried about it. You're going to be perfectly fine. You're going to turn on the shadows. You're going to turn down the freaking reflections, and you're going to be perfectly fine. So let's not get it confused. Sometimes we want to pretend like Xbox is losing completely, and when you underestimate somebody, next thing you know, they take over, and now you got nobody else to blame but yourself because you didn't see it happening. All day.
Well, there's a little bit more.
Let's keep it spicy, right? They were talking about Final Fantasy 16 running at 720. Well, guess what? Final Fantasy 16 isn't even a Final Fantasy game. I'm done. I'm dropping the mic.
Oh, wow. Geez, there you go. That's one way to start a fire up, Asher. You guys all made some really good points here. The one thing that always gets me, and by the way, I got some great super chats I'm going to get to right now, is you guys brought up some excellent points. The one thing that I always find funny right now, and this happened this generation, didn't happen the end of last generation, didn't notice it at all in the middle of last generation. More and more people are moving to PC gaming. You've even heard Jay, myself, everyone. It doesn't matter if you're Xbox. Right, well, that's fine. Xbox or PlayStation. A lot of people in the gaming community, which I always say, we are the hardcore. These are the people that keep their ear to the ground, play all. We have all the devices, whether you like them or you like them a little less. You have them all. But the thing I always find funny is when people are like, well, the PlayStation 5's only doing this. The PlayStation 5. The Xbox Series X to this point
is doing less.
That's why when I hear PC guys go, well, you PlayStation fans shouldn't say, it's like, I understand. I do get that. But the Xbox has done even less. And when you hear Doc, when you said the Xbox console gamer doesn't really care, I got to tell you, let's just use Redfall because Starfield's not out yet. It's not fair to really judge. I haven't played it. Redfall I've played. Redfall didn't only feel last gen, it looked last gen. So there is a point in time.
It looked last gen. It looked
2 gens back. Exactly.
I would rather run into a wall than play that game.
So my point being is that even if I use Doc's case, which was pretty good, Doc goes, listen, for $300, you really can't complain. Listen, you did still put $300 of your hard-earned money on the table to go home and play next gen. And you have not gotten that yet. I don't feel.
That's not an Xbox game, though. That's not an Xbox game. That was in development before that. No.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
I can't lie.
Get out of here with the semantics.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
No, I got to hold the line on something. We're not going to do that.
I'm going to hold the line on something.
So
my brother learned a lot. He learned a lot from me.
Xbox. Hey, Doc. So Xbox had nothing to do with Redfall, but they could take it away from PlayStation. They got nothing to do with it. Or Starfield.
No. Wait. What was that? Hold on. It was 2 different statements here. You cut out a little bit. What he said? I didn't hear you.
Point is, they're involved.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Listen, they came in at the end tail of it. You know, they gave them a liberty to be creative, and they created
and they also
crap,
took it away.
From who?
PlayStation.
Well, look, everything PlayStation takes away from us.
That's
No,
not
it's not Xbox fault. It's not Xbox fault.
If I shit on the floor, if I shit on the floor, it's always gonna be my shit. Okay.
Listen. I'm gonna tell you what, man. I'm gonna tell you what. This is what we're gonna do. Y'all seen the movie Men in Black? Y'all seen the movie Men in Black?
Oh yes, absolutely, Doc.
Y'all know those little things that they flash.
Nothing changes. It will always be my shit. Nothing changes. You can walk by the same fucking turd 2 weeks later. It'll always be my fucking turd.
Listen, I got insiders that tell me that Redfall was actually made by indie developer. That's why it was so bad. Okay, so next topic.
Doc. Next topic. He said
it was made by the B team. That's what we heard. The B team.
Yo, shout out by the way. I want to do a quick shout out to
B team.
Shout out to the Ash and Luca. Ashley Luca's here, and she's defending her. She defended her son here. She's got you, Slow-Mo. She says, y'all can cut him off and posture all you want, but that doesn't change what Slow-Mo said. Get the hay out of your ears and try that BS with someone else. You know, shout out to the great Ash and Luca. You guys,
you're supposed to eat the hay, not put it in your ear.
This is why I miss Forte, because Forte keeps Slow-Mo in
That's
check.
great.
I miss
love
Forte.
it. I absolutely love it.
Never happened.
Oh my God.
Shout out to Forte, man. Shout out to
have to work
Forte.
to get this PCMR card back.
And Lucas says,
Hey, Slow-Mo, are they such thing as high-end cards and mid-grade? I'm just
nope, it's just one card. It's just one card, and you won't have it no more.
Can somebody let me in that inside joke?
Let's reel it in a little bit and let Mooch read the super chat.
well, just a couple. Just a few of them. Kerry Howard, he was also describing what we were discussing earlier. He says 60 frames is next gen. Stop the cap, sir. So shout out to Kerry. And the actual Luca Caves actually goes respectfully, by the way. She was saying respectfully. Also, hi, Boo. Shout out to hashtag my New York. That's my Ash and Luca. Great to have her here. We're going to have Ash and Luca on the show again. She says, Mooch, do me a favor. I'd love to come on Crossfire just when we're past the FTC stuff, which I can't blame her one tiny bit. I'm almost all tired of covering it myself. But you guys made some interesting points here, and we're going to get back to the emails and what happened on the stand in a second. But the one thing I do want to address, and there was a lot of people talking. I'm going to say it was you, Slow-Mo. If it wasn't, you just say, Mooch, that was not me. That's fine. But someone was saying, do we think it was going to be that Sony gets complacent here when and if Microsoft was to kind of bow a little bit? The one thing I sit here and I say, we've all agreed that what Sony showed us a month and change ago was not a very riveting showcase. We'll all agree to that. Some people will even speak further on it. That's fine. And I'll agree with you. I'll walk as far as you want with it. But realistically, was that Thrash that said that? My apologies. And we'll agree with that. But at the same time, if you're Sony, you know that Sony Santa Monica, you know that Naughty Dog, you know that Sucker Punch, you know that these teams, Asobo, they're all working on stuff. They're all working on games. They're not just sitting on their hands. They're not all at, at brunch. So they're doing something. Does Sony necessarily have to show their best cards? That's my first question out there. Eric, I'll go to Eric on this because Eric hasn't got a chance to chime in. Does Sony really have to show their best foot forward right now, A? And B, let's not have what I always call in this industry is short-term memory, right? Short-term memory here. The point I'm trying to make is I watch, and shout out to Spawn Wave, and shout out to RGT85, the guys that cover Nintendo. I've watched when they covered Nintendo Directs, not the last one, but there's been a few back where they were like, that really wasn't great, right? They didn't really show a lot. It's not every Nintendo Direct that's on fire either. So does Sony have to come out guns blazing when their real competitor, their competitor is Xbox? Xbox really hasn't put much out there until this last show. So E, what do you think on those two questions?
I think it's almost like two-part. I think for the hardcore Twitter community and such, yes, they have to show after a 2-year absence, they do have to show and talk about something, right? It doesn't have to be everything, but it definitely, in a way, has to be better than what they presented. But general casual gaming market, the true gaming community as a whole, no, because that's not, most of them don't even know or care about a showcase or keep up with every little thing. They just know, they see something, they see a commercial, they see whatever, they know what they play, and they just go and pick it up and they're good. So when you look at the show as what is going to be on your PlayStation 5 to play, if you're a PlayStation 5 consumer, then things for you there to play. That's kind of where they were going for. But yeah, to the hardcore, no, that's not where it needs to be. That's the same thing. But that being said, there is a thing of when you've been been more consistent. Like when you have, we talk about it in terms of say you have two kids and one's like an A student you know, you don't really have to worry about them. They're doing whatever. Then you have one who's just a complete knucklehead. Like he can't, you know, he walks into a wall like every day.
Can't get right. Can't get right.
Can't get right. Yes. You know, so the time, you know, when the kid who gets all A's comes home with like, you know, a couple of B's or maybe even a C, it's not. You're not gonna like necessarily like start worrying immediately. Now they consistently start coming home.
No. Sony came home with an F. Come on now. That showcase was an F.
It's just about passion at the end of the day. Like it's super passionate. There's dedicated fans. Like I mean, and some of them are like really in denial with what Xbox is doing. I mean, and that happens very often. I mean, look at Mooch. He's a Mets fan. You know, like we know.
That's true. That's a low blow, Basher, but true.
No, but my point being is, when you look at a consistency level, then you kind of give them a little leeway. I'm not saying that they didn't lose some of that with that showcase, but it's a big stark contrast to what Xbox has done. But at the end of the day, fact of the matter is, on either side, fanboy to fanboy, they're going to acquiesce to whatever either one of these companies do anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what they do because, you know, I kind of watched, and I'm just going to pick on the Xbox community for a bit.
No. Pick on Sony, man. I've had enough.
It is what it is, man. You know, the one thing with me, I'm going to keep it a buck either way. Acquiesce. Everything they do, and you're seeing it right now, you know, the minute the Starfield thing was announced, at 30 frames per second, it was like, well, what's the problem with 30 frames per second games? Nothing's wrong with 30 frames per second games per se, but when you've been behind the most powerful console in the world, that was kind of sus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I can't even argue that. You right.
When this generation started, and the thing is, you know, Doc, like I'm 100% like I have no problem with the S exists. I can understand why the S exists. But it's a weird thing when you go, you launch on the Game Awards, your most powerful console, and you're talking that jazz. And I said, this isn't a Series X thing. This goes back to the One X.
Yeah, Eric,
You know,
like
we've
when
lost 2 or 3 years with Microsoft messing around with hardware for what? What do we get in the end?
Eric, what do you think about like the whole? I was on BRAP's podcast recently, and we were talking about this, and I said because people were like, "Why is the Series S so focused on?" And it's like, I was saying my argument to that was like, well, it's the console that's selling the most for them, so of course they're going to focus on that more.
Yeah,
that's true.
You know what?
People are like, "Well, that's fucking stupid. It doesn't make any sense. How is that possible?" Like, it's business at the end of the day. You want them to focus on a $500 Series X. Why would they have to do that if their Series S is selling that costs them less to make that people want to buy more of? Like, I don't understand why it's so shocking.
And why wouldn't they get behind it? Because again, their biggest hardcore base, who they answer to for the hardcore, for the most powerful, they answer to their base for that.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they get behind the S when all of a sudden the hardcore base acquiesced to what they started doing when they introduced the S? All of a sudden, Phil and Matt Booty in an interview backed off of the most powerful narrative, and they started going with the S. And then all their influencers, their YouTubers, everyone, all of a sudden it was the S. Now the S is the thing.
Well,
everybody backed off the most powerful.
I think they backed away from the most powerful console and all the power talk and all the marketing stuff. They backed away from that quite quickly. I mean, within the first 3-4 months
was kicking off. They all of a sudden, it was like hitting the brakes.
Well, they backed off because they started losing that narrative. They started losing.
When they saw the Digital Foundry back in the things and they saw Sony games and stuff like that, that power talk went out the door. And then you had a whole group of people, right, that went with the tools. You got to wait for the tools, right? And then that lasted for about a year and a half. And then they gave up. Listen, I'm just saying. And then they gave up on the tools.
Every 2 years.
Then they started blaming the developers, right?
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years they change up what their marketing pitch is.
Absolutely.
So remember at one point they said that they weren't going to show games too far out, and then they showed us in 2020 like a dozen games that we've only seen about half of those games since then, and it's already 2023. Remember when they said that we were all in on VR, and then they turned around and said, well, our gamers don't want VR. Then they said that like we were never going to lose the power narrative again. We're always going to have a more powerful console than our competition. And then now they're saying we're not going to do a mid-gen refresh with the PS5 Pro. You cannot take anything that they say marketing for more than that's what the going narrative is in Xbox leadership right now. Right now, that's what they want to do right now.
They said exclusive was anti-consumer and not what they was about, right? And then all of a sudden it became so. You slow-mo, absolutely right. But here's the thing, right? They all sides have that same. They all flip-flop, right? They all say some shit and they do the opposite. We all understand that.
And we talk about the Q lights, so we talk some negative stuff about Sony because this is hurting my soul right now.
Mooch,
you did this to me last time.
I'll tell you something about Sony. Sony is ruthless. I'll tell you that right now.
What?
Sony is ruthless. Like you give them, if they got all the power in the court, we're going to be in for a world of hurt as far as gamers are concerned.
I'm gonna be honest.
You want to have checks and balances.
That's right, E. That's right, Eric. Yes.
But the one thing I
Yeah.
cannot sit here and accept the one thing is that the juggernaut pocket company is being bullied by the broke company.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
the saddest,
A lot of things I don't typically get triggered over any game thing, but that doesn't make any sense because when it comes to buying everything, dudes brag all the time about their wallet. You know, but Sony's doing all this to keep games away. And now Sachi is out there. The guy, apparently, what I understand, Sachi doesn't game either. You know, we give Jim Ryan a hard time, but Sachi said he doesn't understand gaming. But the guy that doesn't understand gaming is saying, I don't like the exclusive thing. That hurt. I don't like how that goes.
Right.
Yeah.
Why would you say that, Satya? Because you got your teeth kicked in over
I think the saddest thing. I think the saddest thing for me about this whole scenario is that when I see Microsoft in court and they're like, "Well, we had to buy Starfield because Sony was going to make it an exclusive," and it's like they're looking at that and they're like, "We didn't want that to happen because already we lost the console war." It's almost like they're sitting there, kind of somewhat asking, like, "How did they do this?" And the main answer to that they keep trying to buy all this stuff for, thinking it's going to put a Band-Aid on a wound. The main answer to that Sony does that they do not do is make good games. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all. That's
Basher,
the answer right there.
that comes.
Can I
Go ahead, Brad.
No, he nailed it.
That's it.
Let me chime in real quick because I think what E said, and not to pick on the Xbox community, but they do acquiesce to a lot of stuff that Microsoft says. Like they could come out and be like, "Hey guys, you know what? Like look at the Xbox onesies. The Xbox fan base went crazy. They went out. Everyone's buying those pajamas that had Xbox on it."
Yeah.
They could be like, "Hey, Xbox is releasing a soft serve ice cream machine." Doc would be lined up buying that day one. I mean, like it's just, you know, like it is true.
I mean, I like ice cream
Remember the
machines,
Xbox
but
body wash? Hey, Doc, did you buy that, Doc? Did you buy the body wash? I'll mess with you, Doc. But
I got 7 controllers, so I can't even lie.
I got controllers too. They got me the controllers.
Oh, they got the controller. Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what?
I don't think anybody has more. I don't think anybody has more stuff than me.
Real quick, the console.
But real quick, what he was saying about like the thing that's really kind of made me laugh about the Xbox community is like they're like, well, you know, Sony targets them and poor Microsoft. I'm like, Microsoft's this company that has $1 trillion valuation. They're buying Activision in cash, $70 billion. They have a lot of money, and you would think that the company over the last 20 years that has the backing of Microsoft would somehow be able to compete in the space. And they can't compete in the space. They've lost consistently and haven't really done a good job at video games per se. Like if you look at what Nintendo's done over its 40-something year history, like PlayStation only has 5 years, 6
more
years
than Xbox. Yeah,
Xbox. I mean,
can I ask you?
It's only one generation. It's just one generation, and Sony's not a $1 trillion company. I mean, and Microsoft has these deep pockets. Oh, let me finish my thought here. They should be able. The fact that they can't compete, the fact that they haven't been able to compete at scale with Nintendo and Sony, I'm not so sure that people should be championing them buying Activision. I mean, they haven't really done a great job with managing the production pipeline this generation. Look what's happened with Halo Infinite. And that's not to say that they haven't released any good games. Of course they have. But look at how the market's responded to Sony, the Sony platform, and the Nintendo platform versus the Microsoft platform, and that's all you need to know.
Wait, isn't Microsoft doing better than it has been doing?
They are doing better than they did in the past.
Yeah, but you know, Doc,
it's about consistency, Doc.
This is a question I got though. I'm have this question for everybody because this is I really don't understand this. What is the problem with buying something to be better? What is the problem with that?
I'll tell you what it is, right? There is nothing wrong with buying something to be better. The problem is that most people feel like you're trying to buy your way to the top
Right.
instead of taking that money, right? Investing into what you already have. Because think about it, right now Microsoft has more studios than Nintendo and Sony. And yet they still went all last year releasing no first party game, and then this year they were supposed to have like 12 games or whatever, and all that. You know, we know what happened with the whole Sarah Bond thing. These are the games you're going to be playing next 12 months, right? And then the second next generation game that they had come out was a dud. And so it's like, get good at what you got before you try to go and buy up all of this stuff. Because I'm gonna be honest, it's not a money issue with Microsoft. It's not a hardware issue with Microsoft. It's a management issue with Microsoft.
Facts.
And
Thank you.
Until they fix the management, and here's the thing: they had the blueprint. All they have to do is look at what they did in the 360 era, because technically they beat the shit out of Sony in the 360 era. And then
but they don't have the same companies that they had during the 360 eras, do they not?
No.
They relied on a lot of second-party content in the 360 era. So they
what's wrong with that not doing it? What's wrong with doing that now?
No, see, the issue, I really kind of see with it, and they do have some good games now. And you look at, like, you know, the past like 3 years, they've been delivering on better games. They're not like the top end games. They're not like the AAA high budget ones, but your Pentiment and stuff like that, like they get high reviews.
Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment,
it's niche. There's not a lot of people going to be into it. The thing is with this is that, like, and I said this like by the very first time ever being on CrossFire years ago. I said that their approach to acquisition is a double-edged sword, and it's a double-edged sword because they are so hands off. And so we don't want to affect your culture. We don't want to change how you do things. We don't want to hinder your creative freedom.
That sounds good, Slow-Mo, but it's not.
Right. It sounds good for like your Double Fine, your Ninja Theory, your Obsidian, because they're a veteran developer studio that has a rock solid culture, and they don't really need anything but your pocketbook, really. They just need your wallet. Hold on. They just need your wallet, and they'll make good games, and that's what we're generally kind of seeing from them already. But when you are acquiring developers that need guidance, they need a firmer hand. They are trying to go from like Undead Labs, from AA to AAA, but they are having growing pains. When you don't know how to manage your pipeline correctly, then you are absent in that, and it just causes more problems, which is what we saw with the initiative, what we saw with Undead Labs. We're seeing it with
Can I just say something here real quick? As far as I've been trying to push a narrative this whole podcast, and that narrative is this. I'm trying to break it down as simple as possible for people watching the podcast. So here's the thing: a lot of people question why Microsoft and Sony, why Sony is so adamant, why Microsoft is not really. They're kind of falling by the wayside a bit, right? Let's look at it from a numbers perspective and a business perspective, okay? Sony, per year, makes about $22 to $23 billion with their sales, with Sony Gaming and network services as a whole, okay? Microsoft, per year, makes about $200 billion. The average employee for Microsoft quarterly, the average employee makes about $1 million in salary, I would say, over there. Okay, so now, how can people sit here and ask themselves, why is Sony so adamant on making good games, and why is Microsoft kind of a little bit like, we're okay, we're going to try and make something like a Netflix to keep us in that kind of application software type business to make us easy money? That's because for them, if Xbox fails, they're still going to make $200 billion a year. While in the fact of Sony needs PlayStation to be successful because it's their biggest revenue right now. So that is why everybody kind of looks at this. Why even question at that point? It's like, why does the guy driving around a Ferrari not give a shit about me? Well, because he's driving around a fucking Ferrari. And why does the guy driving around a Toyota want to drive around that Ferrari? Why does he want to work harder?
You guys are saying things that have enough truth to them that sounds good, but you're missing a huge point here, okay? Because again, I'm still trying to understand this. All right, did Sony not acquire or buy Insomniac? Did they not? Okay,
They did.
Yeah.
A developer.
Okay,
A developer.
hold on. Would you not argue that this generation Insomniac is fucking carrying Sony on their back?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being, and we're excited about Spider-Man 2 as well, right? Okay. So with that being said, this is where I think the truth comes in, but you guys are going too hard. The mismanagement, or like somebody said, I'm sorry, I forgot who said it, about buying studios that need to be managed. Okay, that sounds about right. Maybe Microsoft shouldn't buy these studios that need a little bit more management. But there's something to be said about being able to recognize talent. And that's what I think Sony does best. Sony can look at a studio and recognize the talent. And that's why they're in the position that they're in. They know that Guerrilla can make a beautiful looking game, regardless of whether the game is good or not. I liked Killzone Shadowfall. A lot of people didn't, but can't nobody tell me that game for that PS4 did not look amazing, right? Horizon Forbidden West, oh my God, it's a drag to get through. I got through the damn game, but can't nobody tell me that game doesn't look beautiful, right? Sony recognizes what these companies can do, what these developers can do. Microsoft right now is in a spot where it's almost like they're throwing their money at everything, grabbing everything, and hopefully, if you're a Game Pass gamer like I am, you'll find something in Game Pass that you're like, yeah, that's for me. So the same people that may not like Hi-Fi Rush, man, you might find something else on there that you are liking. The same people that may not like Halo Infinite, you might like Forza Horizon 5. So there's something in there for you, and that's what Microsoft. But hold on, let me finish my point. But here's a problem that I have when everyone's against them buying Activision. Is Activision not proven that they know what they're doing? The numbers prove that they have.
Yeah.
Doc.
So this would be a good acquisition for Microsoft if they actually do want to compete.
Doc,
buy a studio that does know what they're doing.
Doc, the same thing can be said for the Arcane studio that made a great game, right? In what is it there? They did
Redfall.
Redfall's no, but they made
Prey.
They made Prey. They also made Deathloop. Did they have anything to do with
But that
Dishonored?
specific studio did
No,
not.
that was a
well,
different
that specific team did not make.
Yeah, that's a different
Deathloop.
team. Yeah, that was a
That-
different
there's
team.
there's two Arcane studios.
Yes.
One's
You guys are
Prey,
missing the
the
point.
other
You
one
guys are
is
missing
in
the point though right now. The kind of companies these are. Like you're missing the point right now. What kind of companies these are? Like Microsoft cannot be compared to a Nintendo or to a Sony. Sony's been in the game since PlayStation 1. Nintendo's been in the game for God knows how long. Microsoft is a software and application developer. Their goal at the end of the day is to make software across the board for everybody to use that is literally, let's just put it this way, mid at best. Okay. Working in the IT field, I can say Windows OS is shit. Linux is better, but Microsoft is ahead of the game in every which way. They have Azure. They have all these things that they want. That they want to. Microsoft's point at the end of the day is to have their hands in every pot.
Yes.
To make money wherever they can. Okay.
You're gonna play
Sony,
Game Pass on your damn washing machine.
But they're not.
So Sony, on the other hand, is trying to make
Why is
good
that
games.
exciting? I don't
Is
get it.
tr-
What
What do you mean?
Go ahead, Jazz.
That's also to be said that you're the jack of all trade, the master of none.
Master of none.
which is why I think it's one of the-
Exactly.
a lot of the products
Exactly.
the way they do. I think it's actually a little bit deeper on the whole what they're doing and buying. And the reason I don't think anybody had a problem with them buying like a Ninja Theory, buying Double Fine, doing these different things. No one had issues with any of that, right?
Well, some people
Even the
did. Some
Bethesda
people
thing,
did though. What's that dude?
No,
Colin? What's that dude's name? Colin Moriarty?
Yeah,
He
but-
said
yeah,
something
but-
about them buying Ninja Theory. They're like, why are you buying Ninja Theory? What for? Ninja Theory's fine. And it's like, well, I mean, why not? Put it on Game Pass.
No,
I mean, I
the
get it.
thing with Ninja Theory was like, probably on their way out.
Anyway.
They were probably on their way out.
That was a good acquisition. That was a good
We can go down the whole thing with that because the thing that cracked me up about like some of the Xbox fan base, they never heard of these studios, and all of a sudden they become like super fans.
Thank you, E. Yeah.
I'm like, yo, some of
Like
them rock
everybody
Ninja
every day on Twitter. Everybody every day
I was
on.
happy that Ninja Theory gets a second life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Through the acquisition.
Everybody on Twitter every morning is like they just tweet out Starfield, and then you ask them, hey, how would you enjoy Fallout 4? They're like, never played it. They're like, what? You know, it's like
You told me.
Skyrim.
Mooch, you told me you were gonna be neutral today.
I'm
You
trying
told
to
me you were
listen,
gonna be
Doc.
neutral, Mooch.
Doc.
Look at you.
Yo, let me tell you something, Doc. Let me tell you something.
I love
How's
Doc.
my
Doc's
audio
one of my
sound?
favorites, dude. Doc Dark's one of the best.
Am I sounding like I'm in
Hey,
McDonald's
Jez, it
headset?
sounds like
Am I
you're,
sounding like a McDonald's headset?
Jess, sounds like you're swimming in a
Yes.
basket of breadsticks from Olive Garden.
Yeah, I'm using my headsets.
He's on the road. Jez is on the road, so I appreciate him calling.
I'm on
Jez,
the road. This is
Jez, what do you?
Grimes line.
Unlimited.
Jez, what do you think about
Hey,
what you're
Jess,
hearing?
Can you bring me some
and-
breadsticks?
Hold on, Brad. Let me see, Jez.
No.
What do you think about what you're
Don't
hearing
ask
and
for
the whole thing?
fucking
What's going on?
distance.
We're gonna try and tie it back to the
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you-
the court case. But go ahead, Jez.
Yeah, like what I'm gonna say is, what Microsoft's already showing bad management with Activision. They don't even own them yet. They committed 10 years to all these to Nintendo Switch without even talking to Bobby Kotick and Infinity Ward and all them. They committed them to 10 years, and they said, "Hey, you're gonna make a Switch game without even talking about their business or even talking about with them." So tell me how that they're already showing their bad management. They're making promises that they can't cash their checks on.
What are you guys doing out here? What are you guys doing out here,
Their
right?
games going, all exclusive.
Yeah, 10 years on the Switch. Did you even ask Infinity Ward?
So this podcast
Bobby
is
Kotick was like, they didn't even talk to us
so
about
New
it.
York. It's so New York. This podcast.
It really
You
is so
it's
New
like
York.
making promises they can't keep out here. What are they doing, all right?
I love it. I love
That's
it.
exactly, but that's
Oh,
exactly
wait.
what they're doing.
So, guys,
dude.
let me
exactly. And you know what's going to happen? Infinity Ward's like, yeah, here's some Switch. Microsoft bought you. Here's some Switch dev kits, and they're like,
Yeah, there you
what?
go.
Like, yeah.
So
They never even talked to you about it.
it just brings up an interesting point because that is actually additional resources that need to be allocated for a Switch game or port or whatever they're going to do. Do they? I mean, again, I'm not going to say they haven't talked. We don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe
No,
they didn't.
Kotick said that. Kotick said it on
Kotick
this.
said, okay,
on
you're
the,
right.
in the
Yeah,
court. He
Kotick
said,
did say that.
Kotick said that they did not talk to us about those 10-year deals, and even the 10-year deal with Sarah Bond. Sarah Bond signed all those contracts that all have out clauses on them, especially the NVIDIA one. And she signed those, but she never made the negotiations with them. She said Phil is in charge of the exclusivity stuff.
That's right.
She just signed them, and
You know what I
they
think what's
had
sad?
that on her as well. But
You know what
they all have out clauses on them as well. Those 10-year deals.
Yeah, I think what's interesting was Nintendo was like we're not entirely. I think there was some confusion about the contract from Nintendo, and I was like, well,
Yeah.
Nintendo signed something they're confused about. Like that doesn't make sense.
I don't. Yeah,
Like that,
I
I
don't.
was kind of surprised by that.
Exactly.
I don't want to speak for I don't want to speak for everyone here, but like I think the biggest concern, even for me, is that like I'm looking at this deal, $70 billion. I'm looking at all this, and I'm like, my main concern is that if Microsoft couldn't run 343 the correct way, my biggest concern is that if they get Activision and they get Blizzard, we're gonna have a whole it's gonna be a whole lot of shelfware across the board, and that's something that I don't want at the end of I just. You need to keep your house in check before you try and invest in hotels. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where I'm going with that.
Well, that's it. So, Doc, let me go to Doc.
Exact-
real
Who
quick.
said
Doc,
exactly? Who understood that metaphor? Who said exactly?
I'm talking about Monopoly, all right?
Monopoly. Listen, Doc.
You're talking about you got to take care of your house before you go poking around at the neighbors.
Yeah,
okay.
before you start looking outside and see what the neighbor's doing next door, you know?
Doc, Doc, you've got
It's
it.
taking over
Doc,
your
when it
family
comes
when you come back home, that's what happens.
when it comes
You want
to
to spy on the
Ryan's
neighbor?
the new daddy at
If you want to spy on the neighbor fucking, that's your prerogative, you know. But you got to be careful when you
Hey
do
man,
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Spencer left his family and he went around to the neighbors. He poked around and came back, and Jim Ryan owned his house. He's like, "Oh damn, now I'm buying the neighborhood."
Oh. Listen, Doc. Doc always says I got a question for you. I got a question
That's
for
a great
Doc.
analogy, by the way. That's pretty funny.
That was funny. I got a question for
That's
Doc.
pretty
Doc,
funny, Jess.
when you hear the what's been transpiring again through the week, right? And you see what's happening, and you see how Pete Hines, Todd Howard, these guys they weren't even told initially that all their games were going to become exclusive, and then Phil makes the decision the last minute to change it all to Xbox exclusive. This is when there's a concern here. You have these 10-year deals. Now the 10-year deals are kind of being opened up and looked at the NVIDIA, the Nintendo one. Lots of loopholes that Microsoft can get out of or do whatever they want. It's not as clear and cut dry like some of the media was putting out there or tweets were going out. The point of the matter here, Doc, is when you say, so what's the big deal if they get Activision? First of all, when they got Rare, they got a ton of IP. Majority of those IP are still sitting in a trunk somewhere. Never used them. So now you have this situation here where they're having a hard time even getting out a quality product in Redfall, and we don't know how Starfield is going to launch, right? So it hasn't been exactly the best of the best scenario for Xbox with their acquisitions. Now they're going to take over a company, and there was an email that came out. Again, this was hearsay, so I'm not even going to use it. But they were saying a lot of Activision talent is going to leave. You see a lot of talent leaving Bethesda. You see people leaving. I know Turn 10, pardon me, but Playground, Arcane. Playground Games, the founders left once this Game Pass stuff started hitting because their creative ingenuity was not being used. They wanted to leave.
Shinigami left too.
You see, well, you also yep, the guy from Hi-Fi Rush, he's gone. You also see Staten left. 343, a lot of people from 343 Exodus, whoop, right out the door. My point is that they don't want to be a part of this. So when you say when Activision gets, or Microsoft gets Activision, Doc, are you really excited for what Microsoft, after you've seen what happened to Halo, you've seen what happened to Gears, right? You've seen what's happened to some of their IP. It's kind of dwindled down. Halo's one of the best first-person shooters out there. Not anymore. Not anymore. Now you want to take some of these beloved games and you want to put them underneath the Microsoft umbrella. I'm asking you, are you comfortable with Microsoft's track record? And then Microsoft telling us one thing and then doing the other once they own the IP.
Okay, so that's a lie. You put me on. You put me on the hot seat.
I'm
That's
sorry.
a lie.
You can
Okay,
answer just the end.
So here's the deal. Whether you want to believe me or not, it doesn't matter. My gamer tag is my name, so you could go ahead and look me up.
I believe you.
I actually enjoy Halo Infinite to this day.
Go.
Okay, to this day.
God bless you.
I actually enjoy Halo Infinite.
Yes.
Halo Infinite is one of the first games that I actually beat and completed all the side missions. I don't do side missions. Okay. I like Halo Infinite so much that I'm actually going back through it in heroic mode.
Problem is Halo Infinite doesn't enjoy you.
So hold on. And I actually like playing the multiplayer of Halo Infinite as well. So again, when you're talking to me about Halo Infinite, now it's a little bit different. Okay. Also, when it comes to Gears of War, understand I started playing Gears of War when I got my Xbox. So I ran through all of them, 1 through 5, all at 4K 60. So Microsoft did me right when it comes to Gears of War, and I enjoyed all of them. All right. So again, you gotta be careful with this.
I enjoyed Hivebusters, dude. Okay? Hivebusters was good.
Yeah,
Hivebusters is good as well.
Hivebusters was good. You're right.
It is good.
Okay.
That was good.
Okay, so understand what you're asking.
Halo Infinite plays well. It's just it did not have content at launch.
They just fucked up by putting Pedro Pascal in it.
But again,
content. No,
but again, hold on. But Mooch asked me a question, right? Okay, so when it comes to the management, when it comes to the headset, listen, when it comes to the management, right? Listen, Jess. When it comes to the management, I yet have not seen them mismanage except for what they did with Redfall, and the big one for me is what they've done with the actual console. So that's my only frame of reference. You guys have been following Microsoft since the 360 era.
Doc,
so you guys have seen them constantly mismanage. The only thing I've seen them mismanage has been Redfall, right? And the Xbox Series X console.
And not Halo? Not Craig?
No, not Craig? Halo. I enjoyed Halo Infinite. I just literally told you
that reveal was horrible. They approved it.
Here's the thing. Let's Doc. The thing is, I respect that you are. I love that you're candid. You say this is when I started playing. This is what I'm judging it by. That's fine. But I implore you to play the first 3 Gears. I implore you to play the 4 Halos. Did you play the first 4 Halos as well?
I did.
Or more than first 4. Pardon me.
I beat them all.
Okay, good.
Check my gamer tag.
No, Doc,
took off his helmet?
Hold on. Listen, Doc, I'm not questioning.
No, he wasn't there when Master Chief Collection didn't work.
Hold on, Doc, I'm not questioning.
Exactly. No, say that again. Who said that, Jez?
You weren't around when the Master Chief Collection launched, and it wasn't fixed.
Hold on a second, guys.
Yeah, you're right.
Listen, I'm not.
He's 100% correct.
Doc,
He's 100%
Doc,
correct.
I'm not questioning your resume at all.
That doesn't mean it didn't happen, though.
No,
so
but
no, it did. But it means that my experience is different. So you guys got to wait for me to get to
Hold
show
on.
you a little bit more.
But wait a minute.
Exactly. So your perception, yeah.
Listen, what I'm saying to you though is, okay, I understand what your point is that you enjoyed Infinite. I'm not here to talk you off that ledge. You enjoyed Gears 4 and 5. That's great. Good. The problem is that just because you enjoyed 4 and 5 doesn't mean it didn't take a dip off the edge from 1, 2, 3. I'll give you an example, okay? Godfather 1 and 2, classics, right? They're cemented classics. That doesn't mean I can sit here and tell you, well, I saw Godfather 3 first, so 3 was really good. 3 sucked. Okay? So my point being is that you can't sit here and tell me just because you got in late, it's a dip. They take a massive dip in quality. The story, No, there's nobody playing.
God of War 1, 2, and 3 is way better than God of War 2018, God of War Ragnarok. I can't even finish God of War Ragnarok.
Well, I
can't even finish God of War Ragnarok.
Well, listen, Doc. Hold on, Doc.
Horizon Zero Dawn is way better than Horizon Forbidden West. Can't nobody question that.
That brother got a sickness.
Doc,
got a seasick.
Yeah, Doc.
Let's go. What else do you want to go with? What else we want to go with? Sony's doing the same exact thing, guys. Let's not pretend. Let's not pretend.
Doc,
the
listen to me.
Statement that we've gotten
listen
so
to me for 2 seconds. Listen to me for 2 seconds.
In both consoles.
Listen to me for. Listen to me for.
Spider-Man, collect more backpacks. You're gonna collect more backpacks than Spider-Man.
That has nothing to do. That has nothing to do with what I'm saying. By the way, everything you said is your opinion, and I'm not gonna say you're wrong. I'm gonna say the planet Earth disagrees with you, but you are entitled to your opinion.
Let's go, Mooch.
That's fine.
Let's go.
You know, I'm just saying that's the way it is.
That bubble.
I just think when it comes down to it, you've got a situation right now where the games are they've got to fill Game Pass. They've got a void to fill, and the problem is that they're pumping it out. And shout out to the great Ash and Luca when we were just talking right now. There's a situation when they're like, we're gonna fix Halo Infinite. Where's the rest of the campaign? Why is there 5,000 people playing on the game only? Why is Gears multiplayer dead, Doc? If everything's so great, Mooch, where is everybody?
Oh, because everyone's playing the Sony multiplayer. That's why, Mooch. Because everyone's playing the Sony multiplayer. That's why. Don't listen. If you're a PlayStation fan, don't you talk to me about multiplayer when you're playing freaking Apex Legends and freaking Call of Duty. The reason you're scared is because the multiplayer that you got, we're about to buy.
That's why I'm scared. That's why I'm scared when they take active. That's why I'm
about multiplayer.
That's why I'm scared.
Sony fans don't. That's why that dual edge controller makes no sense. Well, what games y'all play that y'all need back paddles for? Nothing. Everything is a quick time event. Stop playing with me.
That's why I'm worried about Xbox getting Activision. They're going to do what they did to Halo and Gears multiplayer.
Exactly.
That's why you actually proved my point. The defense rests.
Oh, hold on. Oh, wait. No. Hey, look.
They're going to turn COD into Halo. That's what they're going to do.
Chat. Look at the capping. Look at the capping right now. How about you all drop your gamer tags and let's see how much Call of Duty you actually play? Because I guarantee you don't play as much Call of Duty as you think you do. Now all of a sudden, Call of Duty is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and Microsoft is going to mess it up.
I don't play Call of Duty. I play Gran Turismo.
Exactly. So you don't play Call of Duty. Come on, man.
I play Olympic sport.
Come on.
I play Olympic sport. Gran Turismo. So what are you talking about?
I love Fortnite.
What he said? Yeah, you got me all together. Let's go. I'm ready for it,
brother. When the last time Xbox had an Olympic sport?
Go. I play Call of Duty every year, dude. I buy it. I play it every year. Campaign multiplayer,
we got one.
All right?
Oh, man, get out
I play Call of Duty every year. I play that piece of shit Vanguard. If I hate that thing, I play them all.
Okay, well, so shout out. We got one. Who else?
Shout out to
you haven't liked Call of Duty since fucking 5 years. They're gonna miss Call of Duty. So shut your mouth.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Is Elden Ring multiplayer? What are you talking about?
You're excited for Spider-Man 2 so you could collect backpacks to get a platinum trophy and pretend that you did something.
Oh, no, he went there.
You know what I'm saying?
Mooch, I'm out. What you're excited. I'm out, Mooch. Enough is enough. This man's speaking blasphemy right now. How dare you?
He really is.
You're screaming in the middle of a train station right now. You sound ridiculous.
Well, Doc, listen Erodimus makes a good point here. He says, yo, Mooch, and I'll let Jay answer this, or Jazz, one of you guys answers. He says, Mooch, what happened with the Sony Last of Us multiplayer on PS5 getting the same development issues as the Microsoft issues you mentioned? I said this. My answer to, probably it wasn't Erodimus, but it's a cute perspective. My answer to acute is they didn't release a half-assed broken game. They're still working on it.
Microsoft would have just thrown that shit out there and said, we'll fix it later.
Yeah,
That's
here
the
it
difference
is.
Between Sony and Microsoft.
They'll cry on the XCast a week later.
Right. That's the difference here. You know, that's the problem I have.
That's a big difference from, hey, we got some shit going on. We're not finna throw that shit out there versus Microsoft. Phil Spencer, throw that shit out there and then we'll fix it later, right? That's the Microsoft model. Throw it out there, we'll fix it later. I mean, that's just
Microsoft is so ridiculous. Microsoft is so ridiculous that they can have an XCast, and I can see somebody ranting and raving about a Microsoft Xbox refrigerator, and I want to throw myself out the window. That's the kind of console they are. Like, it's ridiculous. Come on now.
But you can pick one thing like
Mooch,
Last of Us multiplayer.
I never saw it coming. I never saw it coming, Mooch.
I never saw it coming,
pick up
Doc.
on
I saw the
Mr.
invite. I
Last of
saw
Us
the invite. I said, yeah, I'm gonna do
multiplayer
it.
thing.
Doc!
It's so blue in here.
It's so blue. He goes, I can't see.
There's
The
so
Last
much
of Us
galloping
multiplayer not
right
coming
now.
out.
This is bad for
Doc,
me.
Dude, but the stuff that
got
Microsoft
high
has
blood
been doing
pressure.
has been years. Doc, this has been going on for years. This is not just like one thing. This is what they've been doing with Halo, with Crackdown 3, with they've just been going with Redfall. He's been saying we need quality in our games since 2019. I'm aware of that on the Fortune magazine interview that he did. I have to do our first party, I have to improve in quality, and then proceeded to release Halo lacking, and then even Redfall after that. Like,
Hey, hold on,
when is
I
this
gotta
dude just
read
gonna?
this.
Like,
Let me
when
read
is
this
this
super chat real quick.
in the background.
Hey, this super chat's
Yeah,
actually
dude,
really
there's some
good, man.
birds.
He got me, Mooch.
Get the birds.
Jamie
What'd
said,
he say?
at least we can collect the backpacks at 60
Oh,
frames per second.
Jamie hits the home run.
Damn.
Shout out to
Oh, man,
Jamie.
that's disrespectful. Even the chat, damn.
Shout out to Doc.
Picking up Jan, picking up
Can we
Jan
get back
Sports
on
at
slow
60,
mo
son.
again? Let's get back. Jay,
Yeah.
get back on slow mo, man. Leave me
Oh
alone.
man.
Yo, by the way, shout out to Doc. Doc, honestly, you're awesome. Doc was like, Mooch, is this podcast underwater? I'm just seeing blue. Shout out to Doc, man. I appreciate Doc being here. He's one of the best in the business.
Facts.
Well, listen,
Appreciate you guys.
what else do you guys think here, honestly? Jez, let me get I know you're on a headset, Jez, and you're calling in, but Jez,
We
what's
got
your
the birds in the background.
what's your take on what happened with the FTC this week? What do you think from the closing comments to where we are right now? What was your overall, real quick? I mean, you give us a 5-minute,
Yeah.
synopsis, and then we'll go on to the next subject.
Yeah, so I think what I liked about this whole thing, was all the emails, because I look at the emails as like that's kind of factual stuff because it wasn't intended to be public information, and hearing about how they do that stuff in the background, hear their intentions, was very revealing during this case. The stuff that they say on court could be definitely made for the politics, for what they want to say, the messaging, like even that Satya exclusive thing, like dude's been like they're saying what they want everybody to hear. So the court stuff, quotes, definitely are what they are, but the emails were very interesting out of this whole thing. But I think over the course of the thing, I think the FTC did miss a couple of things where they really didn't focus too much on the cloud and like what's Microsoft's plan on how to what they plan on doing, rather than just making it all Call of Duty, because they focused a lot on Call of Duty and just exclusivity and which Gen 9. But I do think a lot of the things that they pointed out were the Bethesda, the ZeniMax acquisitions, and initially them saying how, dude, like you said you were gonna play like you don't know and all the stuff. Then all of a sudden you signed that deal, and then you said, yeah, we're pulling it from everything, and you're third place. Why would you pull it from the biggest selling consoles to just put it on your console when you're not selling? I think those are great points that they made. But I think overall, it sounded like even in those closing things that the judge might be a little bit stringent on the FTC and maybe leaning more to not granting the injunction. But I just feel that the amount of effort and stuff going into this, it just is absolutely insane. And the fact that they had to get all those Xbox executives sitting there when they should be in the studios making goddamn games and making sure the quality is there, this is taking so much time away. And I think out of everything, this whole Activision deal has hurt Microsoft more than it has helped them, because they have been distracted so much from this, and everybody else seems to be dropping games left and right, and Microsoft the one that's kind of just still figuring it out. But the one big thing that I took away was the Jim Ryan email and Phil Spencer email, where Jim Ryan really kind of laid out like, hey, you want us to agree to this? These are the business decisions that we would like to come to. Here there are things. And he said about his customers, because he cares about disrupting his PlayStation fan base, because you disrupt your customers, then you lose your business, right? And when he laid out this professional email, like, Jim Ryan, Gordon Ramsay, I don't like him, I don't care about taking pictures with him, but his email definitely was much more professionally toned than what they want. And Phil's response was like, hey, as we talked about, we'll figure it out. And I feel like that's Microsoft's approach to a lot of stuff, is like, we'll work it out, we'll figure it out. And they have shown that they are just they don't know what they want to do. Just like the strategy with ZeniMax, like they did not really have a good strategy with ZeniMax. The fact that they let Redfall just be ignored and just come out as is, and even the Starfield marketing is still shaky on shaky grounds. I feel that they have not shown, with great power comes great responsibility. They have not been responsible with all this talent and IP that they have.
Quote in there.
Yeah,
oh my god! Oh my god!
Hey, dude, it's true, dude. You want
right there.
you
Damn.
want shit. my birds. Yeah, you want all this stuff, like you and again, if they get this, I always said that this deal is going through because this is a desperate rich company. This is what they need to do. This is their future. And Satya, and also from the emails, the thing from this thing, I've seen how Satya, that other Tim Stewart, what the hell that guy's name is, that Stewart guy,
CFO,
they do not know. They don't know shit about video games. They're just the check writers. Phil Spencer's the one that's pumping them, saying, let's go do this, let's do this. And it shows that I think Satya wants a certain number and a certain hit point that they need to hit. And Phil's like, Satya, I need to do this in order to get you that number. And I think it's just going to be a race. They're not stopping after this shit. And that's a scary thing. I think we're just going to have a whole, if this goes through, they're just going to have a whole goddamn, people are going to be scooping up stuff just to keep stuff away from Microsoft, and Microsoft just going to buy the goddamn industry and throw it into Game Pass. And I don't think that's the right thing, because I think games going into Game Pass is day one is the biggest thing. Because look, they're putting Call of Duty in PlayStation now. They didn't have to buy goddamn anybody. PlayStation Plus is getting it.
Yeah.
Call of Duty, it's a 3-year-old Call of Duty, but think about the energy that Microsoft is doing to get Call of Duty in there day one with $7 billion. As opposed to just putting in some legacy Call of Duty games in your service and deliver on your games, because that was the initial promise. Now their games are not delivering, so they're just buying up established IPs to throw it in the service to get people to come in. And this whole thing is just to show it did show me how incompetent Microsoft seems to be. How they just don't have a clue on what they're doing. All they know is they just want to buy these companies and make them part of them, and we'll figure it out later.
Jez.
Go ahead. Hey, Mooch, I have a question for chat real quick.
Go ahead.
I don't understand. We're out here like a strip club. We're clapping our ass cheeks, and we got 139 likes with 461 people watching. What the fuck's going on out here?
Can we get some
likes,
I didn't
please?
See that, dude. I appreciate that.
Dude, you better hit that goddamn like button.
Really
I'm
listen,
What are we doing over here? We're showing our asses, and you guys are sitting there watching.
I've been doing
hit that like button. It's right to your left. Hit it.
Shout out to Basher.
And also, too, another note: Matt Booty has a potty mouth.
Yes, he does.
Likes the booty, but you want to give it to my booty?
Matt Booty got a potty mouth, man. Matt Booty.
Are you saying he's a dirty booty?
Hey, Mooch,
he's a dirty booty, man. He got a dirty booty in those emails.
Some of that, I'm going to start calling him Dirty Booty from now on.
You guys want to know what was the
names
most
for him.
annoying thing about what Jez said?
What's that?
The most annoying thing about everything that Jez said is that it's no one's responsibility to prove him wrong but Microsoft. And unfortunately, they haven't done it yet. So I was always mad at the day and date, it's going to ruin games, it's going to ruin games. And I mean, I like Halo Infinite, but I can't pretend to you like I can't tell you that it ain't come out with problems, right? I think the only game right now, day and date, that's dropped from Microsoft that you can't really complain about would be Forza Horizon 5.
And Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Which was a stealth drop.
But then Redfall, which was supposed to be a big staple, they do that, right? Starfield. And listen, guys, I can only be as Xbot as I can be. Okay, I'm being fair with the chat. Okay, I can only be as green as I can be. There's something about this game that I still don't fully trust, man, and I can't put my damn finger on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you, Doc.
I don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah,
this last showcase that they showed for Starfield did look good, but it looked really ambitious. Maybe I don't know. There's something about it. What I
still think that performance is going to be spooky.
They'll fix it later. Remember, it's because it's in Game Pass. I mean, and that's the whole narrative, right? It's like you can't complain because it's in Game Pass, and that is again, this is why people think that the whole quality thing is just from here on out. It's just going to go down the drain because
if you're mad right now, like I am, that Jay spoke out of turn but spoke truth. You got to be mad at Xbox. Xbox has to be the one that has to shut people like Jay up.
No, but listen.
They have to drop something day and date, and it's got to be great that no one can freaking deny.
Listen, but I'm going to say something that you guys probably don't think I would say. I actually want this deal to go through. I hope it goes through.
Oh, here
and
we go.
Listen, and I'm going to tell you why I want it to go through. I want it to go through.
We got him. He's turning green. Let's go.
No, listen. Because that is going to put just unsurmountable pressure on Microsoft to deliver year after year after year, not just on Call of Duty, not just on Overwatch, but everything under the belt, right? Because Now it's like you spend $70 billion. You done bought one of the biggest publishers in the world. You done made the biggest. I mean, you done basically broke the record, right, for largest purchase of a video game in history. And if these games come out trash, or if the quality is, I mean, it's no longer going to be Bobby Kotick's fault, right? Because he's built a big empire over there. They're doing really good. Their numbers are really good. They crank out. But listen, he's going to cash out $500 million. He's going to cash out, right? So he's going to get his payout. And even Jim Ryan said that all the talent is going to leave. They're going to get their payday and they're going to leave and go to other companies. So Microsoft is left with this shell of a company where all the developers have left. And that's just kind of what it is. This is why when Sony bought Bungie, they gave them $3 billion. I mean, I forgot how much, almost $1 billion or something like that, to retain the talent. To retention money, keep the people. We want the people to stay. Yeah, to make sure nothing changed, right? And here's the thing. So now Microsoft is going to have all of this under their belt. They're going to have all of these development teams, all these different companies under that belt. And now we're going to say, okay, let's see what you can do now. You already have more studios than the competition almost combined as we speak right now. So now you're taking on another huge amount of people, right? Yep. How is that going to work out? The first time Call of Duty, I mean, and we all say this. We all, say, oh, COD is worse and it's trash. But the numbers keep going up year after year after year. So that narrative is kind of out the window. I don't want to hear that COD is trash when people keep buying it more and more every year, right?
Every year.
The only people that say that are the super hardcore COD players that was like it was 2 or 3 years ago, and they still buy it every single year.
And they still buy it.
Yeah,
so those are like
2K.
Those are like the 2K and the Madden fans, right? They complain every year and they turn around and go out and buy it. So I don't want to hear it.
Right.
So here's the thing.
Too, people keep buying the show. Oh my bad, it's on Game Pass.
But they do still buy it. It's funny. But Jay, they do, but they do buy it, and it still charts every month. It's on the charts a lot. So I mean, people are still buying the show.
Always highly, it's always highly rated. Now here's the thing, right? So you're taking on all of this stuff. You already have a management problem with the Halo, Gears, and Forza studios you have, right? And now you took on ZeniMax, all of the stuff they're dealing with that, right? And luckily they've been able to crank out some good stuff. And they have some duds here or there, but that's just tend to be consistent with their studios. But now you're taking on the juggernaut that was already there. And if that quality goes down, man,
they're not going to be leaning on that though. That's the thing. They're not going to be leaning on that in the future. If this goes through, what they're going to be leaning on is they're going to have Game Pass out there, and they're going to be putting out, like supposedly quote unquote AAA games that are really, kind of AA into AAA because they're going to come out half-assed. They're going to have to be fixed. They're going to be on Game Pass, so it's quote unquote free when it's not. Okay, let's be real here, and it's just going to be shelfware across the board, and that's
so. What's the plus? So with that being said, right? With that being said. Really, for an Xbox gamer, what really is the plus side outside of you don't have to? I guess you get a
Netflix type service. You get a Netflix type service where you can play games that are like BC type games that are fun to play for like an hour or two, and you get your fix like you do with Netflix.
Guys, can I just?
Is that really what? Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say something. One of the things that really stood out to me was Bobby Kotick's testimony the day before. Jim Ryan said publishers don't like Game Pass, and people are like, what are you talking about? Publishers love Game Pass. Some smaller publishers, some smaller developers like Game Pass, but it's Charles Zelnick of Take-Two has talked a lot, has said, hey, you know what, Game Pass doesn't make sense for us. Bobby Kotick said, no, I don't think Game Pass is for us either. I'm paraphrasing, but he said, look, it's it's not
his game sales. That's why.
Yeah, but he said, he kind of quoted Hollywood. He's like, it's just it causes revenues, a loss of revenue. And he quoted Hollywood, and like and even Microsoft's own internal documents was kind of this the CMA. They even said Game Pass cannibalizes sales. Yeah. So if you're releasing big AAA games and it cannibalizes sales, in these games, with the leaked emails that weren't really redacted for Sony, 232 million or 20 million for whatever for Horizon.
Horizon and other game. Yeah.
And then you're looking at like
Last of Us.
Yeah, and then Microsoft's own internal document saying if they did put COD exclusive to offset the loss of revenue from PlayStation to make it work, they would need 2 million new Game Pass subscribers. But then you're also got to factor in churn, and that's just 2 million for Call of Duty. That's not all the other development costs, all the other games they're putting in, the licensing fees they're paying for games to go into Game Pass. So I think pay attention to what Kotick's saying about the Game Pass situation, where it's like he's like, I don't. It doesn't make sense. Like it's not.
Gaming is
cannibalizes revenue.
Gaming is heading. Gaming is heading into the same direction. Like, if you guys get the chance, you should look at a really good interview that Matt Damon had about Hollywood and Netflix and how Netflix destroyed Hollywood. That is exactly what is going to happen with gaming. It is the same thing happening all over right in front of our eyes, and we just mute to it right now. That's what Xbox wants at the end of the day.
And the other thing I want,
people are so lost in the list war and owning each other and the whataboutism that no one thinks critically about any of it anymore.
Guys, any company's going to want to spend less and make more.
Yep,
that's the bottom line.
True.
Well,
but
real quick, Jada, the other thing too that people aren't thinking about this acquisition, and one of the reasons why the FTC is challenging this too, is because Microsoft's able to spend $70 billion on a publisher that's, Microsoft's also like a top 10 publisher in the gaming industry. They're acquiring another top 10 publisher. This is the tipping point of mass consolidation. People aren't, Bobby Kotick said, hey, they asked, do you want this deal to go through? Bobby Kotick's like, my shareholders want this to go through. And so I am making
who cares?
He didn't care too much what happened.
Yeah, he want to get his money and get out of there.
Yeah, but he's also got responsibility to shareholders to make a legal responsibility to shareholders to make money. Now imagine this. Imagine EA now. EA sees what's happened, Activision and Microsoft acquiring them. You don't think EA and their shareholders are going to start kicking the tires and seeing how much they can get? Like these are the things that people are talking about. Like mass consolidation isn't necessarily a good thing. Mass consolidation in other industries, ISP providers, mobile providers, cable television.
Yeah,
it has benefited us consumers.
Look at fucking Comcast. Look at Time Warner. Look at fucking Spectrum. Are you kidding me?
True. That's the problem.
Remember
AT&T.
There's two things I want to say, like what JW and BRAP were saying, is like, the first thing is like, if this deal goes through, I think that, like you said, it's going to have a lot of pressure on Microsoft for owning all this stuff and how you're going to deliver and keep that quality high. But I do think that it is going to make Sony more aware of maybe their internal stuff and really have to dig home saying, hey, we can't depend on these multiplats or these third parties because Microsoft's going to take them. They'll probably buy their own to protect their own, games that work well on their platform. But I think they might even look even more internally and say, we got to pump out more of these classic franchises, more of these things, bring back these things, because we got to look internally, because right now, the Microsoft's out there taking away our negotiating factor of these second party deals. We got to look back to our first party and grab whatever companies we can. So we get like, they'll almost have to do like an introverted thing like Nintendo, just kind of say, hey, we got to rely on us and bring out some new things maybe they wouldn't have brought out before because of
here's
the
the problem with it. Here's the problem with it, Jizz.
Okay.
Not to cut you off, but here's the problem with that. They need something now. That stuff takes like years to develop. It's like 5, 6. They don't have 5 or 6 years to find a damn Call of Duty replacement. They don't like.
Well, no, I'm not saying a Call of Duty replacement. I'm saying like
just in general, right? The type of revenue that it would bring in for a lot of these replacements or to compete in that sphere. It's not. People have been trying, and it just that shit's hard, right? It's hard to get people out.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever make a Call of Duty replacement. Yeah. But I'm saying like a lot of their negotiating, like what Microsoft was saying, how they're making it hard for us to be Xbox because Sony's doing these second party deals. Well, what happens is Microsoft is trying to buy this stuff up and isolating Sony. Like you remember Matt Booty, spend them out of business. If that's their approach, then Sony's not going to be able to rely on these second party deals unless they buy their own second parties to take them away from Microsoft. But what they can do is really look internally and say, hey, we got to start building more stuff internally and buying, more developers or looking at our own classic IPs and start bringing out more games just from us because Microsoft seems to be trying to corner us in this thing. That could be one potential. I'm not saying it could happen. The second thing is that the reason why Microsoft is buying publishers whole ass publishers is because they want to control the budgets. They want to control how a game gets made, how much money gets made, because they know it's destiny, not pun on the word destiny, but they know where it's going into Game Pass, and they know how they're going to try to milk that money back. So the problem is you can't just take a game that somebody's making for 5 years, $2 million of revenue, and say, okay, we're going to put that in a service day one. The game wasn't built for that distribution. But if Microsoft controls the entire publisher, they could go, yeah, we're doing more with less. Get back here. We only have this amount of budget because this is going in Game Pass. And as a gamer, I don't like that, because they know where this game is going, and these games will be built for a buffet service rather than built for the high quality $70 value that it should have. And that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go right ahead.
So
Go ahead.
Jez said something, man, that got my brain thinking, and I would like to hear everyone's opinion on that. So he mentioned Sony possibly turning into like Nintendo. Like Nintendo is pretty much self-sustained, right, with their own internal games. Like you're not gonna buy their big IPs because their IPs are theirs, right? Is Sony? This is not even coming from my Xbox perspective. I'm being honest here. I just want to know the answer. Does Sony have enough to actually run like Nintendo if they had to?
No.
Oh shit.
No.
Mm.
The answer is no.
They don't
Come
get
on, be honest, come on.
sales.
That's a tough- that's a tough one.
You got God of War, you got Horizon, you
Well,
got Last of Us, you got
None of those
Nintendo has
games
Pokemon,
sell
Nintendo
like
has
Nintendo
Pokemon.
games. So
Nintendo has
Nintendo games
Pokemon.
sell like 30 million.
Oh my God, you kidding me? Zelda, Mario, Pokemon. No, these are like legacy IPs. Sony it's not the same conversation at all. I wanted to say something, segue off what you guys were talking about earlier and what you guys think about this. If I had a crystal ball in front of me right now, like I wish one of these courts would ask, like I wish the FTC or the court would ask in the courtroom, like Xbox, like, hey, would you ever let Game Pass be on PlayStation?
yes, they
They
would.
want that. That's
Yes,
what they want.
They would, but Microsoft has to.
Exactly my point.
Get out of the console space
Because they don't want to be
Right.
there.
console.
Right.
Exactly. That's my point.
Okay,
They're not
okay.
admitting to it,
Yes.
but they want to be an application. They
Guys,
want to be an
no,
application
guys,
across the
no.
board.
No,
Yeah.
listen, guys, no. Listen. Microsoft, right? Someone said it earlier, said they're a software company, right?
Mhm.
Windows.
That
right?
was me.
Okay, that was you. Okay, good. And they want to put Windows everywhere, right? They want you to use Windows. They don't care on what device you use Windows on. They just want you to use Windows, okay?
Mhm.
Here's the deal though. Microsoft still makes devices that are theirs for you to use Windows. So they don't care if I'm listening to this podcast on my Surface Pro 7, which is a Microsoft device, or if I'm using my Acer Helios 300, which is not a Microsoft device, and I'm still using Windows. So if I have my Asus ROG Ally right next to me, or I'm using that, they don't care, but they don't have to get out. That's why the Series S, guys, when you really think about it from their perspective, not from the gamer perspective, but from their perspective, the Series S is perfect. It's perfect.
But the Asus,
They-
the
they
Asus
now-
is a prime example of that.
Yeah,
Like if you look at the Asus, they put their OS.
Yep.
And Asus isn't even their software. And they went and said, hey, guess what, guys? This is the dedicated Game Pass machine. They're not like, hey, we're going to build our own handheld. They're like, hey, we're going to put our software on there and we're going to tout it as the Game Pass machine. That's where that at the end of the day, that is the best compliment you can give Microsoft as a company. Not you have the best console, not you have the best games, not you have the best compliment you can give them is, hey, your shit is everywhere.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. Yeah, I can't argue that.
But what's amazing is that they're everywhere, but they still say they suck. They still last everything, but they're everywhere.
Right.
You know, that's the thing.
Yeah, well, that's like a girl saying she's got a hole, she's going around selling her ass. You know, like, come on.
That's what I was going to say to you guys. Like that's,
you know,
that's the biggest
it's
problem.
Like chum in the water. It's like somebody will get a bite. Somebody
my question when it comes down at the end of the day, whether it's Doc, whether it's you, Jez, Jay, it doesn't matter what side any of us are on. The question that I keep bringing up more and more is just my concern with the mass consolidation is the quality. At the end of the day, I get excited. A new game comes out. You're like, oh, I'm taking that day off, or I can't wait to get home and play this. I'm going to buy this tonight. I'm going to play it at 12:01 a.m. Eastern time. I can't wait, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The problem I'm having is what Jez just said. And Doc, this answers your question. Microsoft, you're right, doesn't care. They don't. That's the problem, though.
Yeah.
That's the problem. They don't.
Okay.
They're everywhere
Okay.
and they
Hold
don't
on.
care.
You're asking a company. You're asking a
Because Mooch, look at Redfall. Mooch,
We're not turning this into a
look
short.
at Mooch.
He got
Mooch,
you,
look
he
at
got you.
Redfall. Look at Redfall. Like the Redfall
Right.
dropped, but
And now
if you're
Microsoft
subscribed to Game Pass, you're like, well, okay, Redfall sucks, but I have like 300 other games to choose from.
That's true. That's true.
You have-
Okay.
you have-
And
you have
so
Xbox-
what's the incentive?
You have Xbox's answer right in front of you. Every single one of us right now is watching and recording this podcast and looking at this podcast, giving Microsoft money. Like, come on. At the end of this is what it is. This is the nature of the beast. This is smart business moves.
Okay,
They are where they are because they know how to play the game. Sony is a gaming company. That's why they make better games. Microsoft is a software company. That's
But
why
as a
they
gamer, but if you're a gamer, does any of that shit matters? We already know Microsoft is the world's richest company. So who cares if they get more money? What about the games? What about what we really care about? The games.
Let's talk about games. Hold on. Let's talk about games. Everybody's telling me that if this goes through, we're afraid of game quality. Okay, listen. This deal goes through, it's not going to affect Nintendo's game quality, right? Nintendo, this doesn't bother Nintendo at all, okay? This deal goes through, how does it affect Sony's game quality?
It'll make their game quality better.
Okay. So then let the deal go through, because if I was just coming in and I didn't know anything and I'm just listening to this podcast, you guys have been saying that Microsoft's game quality is shit anyways. So why not just have them buy this and have Sony's game quality go even up higher? Nintendo's game quality is not going to change. So what's the point? What's the difference?
The only positive thing. The only positive thing.
None of you play Overwatch. None of you play Overwatch.
I play Overwatch.
So what are we doing? What are we doing?
I play Overwatch. But here's the thing: you just can't say.
He cut out. They got him. They got him.
The only positive thing about this acquisition at the end of the day is that if Microsoft gets all the power, to which they will, because this acquisition will go in their favor, that I guarantee you. I know for certain. But when it does happen, and just mark my words, it will. And Mooch, you can quote me on that. When it happens, you can be like, hey, Basher said that. So that guy's actually fucking knows some shit. When it does go through inevitably, what's going to happen is that Sony's going to see that it went through, and then Sony's going to get put into a corner and be like, okay, so this has happened. This is the reality of things now. Yeah. So we can no longer be a company to which sits back and lets 2 years pass that we show people nothing. Now we have to be a company that we were before, which is to release good games, good IPs, and become, quote unquote, like a Nintendo. Never mind the fact of games as a service, of all that bullshit. That is a conversation that Sony is having right now because Sony does not feel threatened.
Tell Doc. Where is he? This guy got Doc. Doc, I'm going to ask you a question for you. So, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You guys? All right. Yeah, so you're saying about like, hey, Microsoft
There's birds behind you?
Yeah.
Garden of Eden.
I am. I'm
in the Garden of Eden.
I'm outside on my headset.
Birds at Olive Garden?
No,
he's eating breadsticks and feeding the birds.
That's what they put in the meatballs. They put bird meat in that goddamn meatballs.
No.
My bad, Jed. My bad. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jess.
All right, let me. So the thing is like you're saying right. Like if Microsoft just wants to do their thing and mess up their games, why does it matter to the Nintendo and the PlayStation? Yes, I understand that, but guess what? Microsoft now is shitting on too many yards. Now they're pulling Call of Duty. They're pulling games that we play and franchises that I like, and now they're making it part of that. That's the problem. You want to go destroy your brands, go do it. But now when you're taking that destruction and now you're shitting on everybody's lawn in the neighborhood, you're taking now you shit too much. Now you're consolidating. So let's take EA, let's take Ubisoft. Look at all those people on their hit list. They wanted to buy goddamn everybody. Yeah. Now the thing is like you want to buy up these franchises that people like now, and then what? Turn them into Game Pass fodder? We don't want that.
Yeah,
so
Doc,
if you
that's a good point.
Crackdown,
Doc,
then you could destroy Crackdown, but don't now say,
Doc,
okay, well.
So Doc said
now we're going to take this. Like
Doc said
to us
earlier,
they're spreading their trash.
Doc said to us earlier, he says, you know what? If you say Sony's going to be better for it, then let them take it. Doc, my question to you, I guess my rebuttal would be, because they've already said this isn't the end. So when is enough? What's
that list?
How
right?
many publishers, Doc, would make you happy as an Xbox fan? Do you want them to get Ubisoft and
Sega,
EA?
Mooch.
All of them?
They went to Sega. They were going to all of them.
Square Enix. Where do you want to
The
stop?
the conversation on Twitter will become how many companies Microsoft. It won't be like, oh, they have good games. It'll
I'm
be
just
like,
asking.
oh, but we have all these companies.
Yeah, I'm just
And
asking.
the other thing too is if the FTC approves this deal or Microsoft gets this deal through, I mean, like
They're
now it's
going
like,
to.
okay, we can spend $70 billion, and now who else can we buy? Because no one can stop us.
Well, no, I actually kind of feel like due to the scrutiny of this deal, that if they try to go after another publisher, it's not going to go through.
Not right away.
They're gonna have to wait.
They have to wait.
But let me answer
I think
Mooch.
that's-
Let me answer
yeah.
Mooch. Can I? Let me
No, go
answer
ahead, Doc.
Mooch's question.
And I mean it honestly. Yeah.
So here's the thing. Again, it's just being honest.
Yeah, go ahead, Doc.
I am a subscription service type of guy.
Yes.
I like gaming on my subscription services.
Okay.
The more I get on my subscription service, the better. Now I will admit this again, and Microsoft has to prove this wrong. Xbox has to prove this wrong. The most enjoyment I have gotten out of Game Pass has been on older games. I can admit that. Yes, okay? Even though I loved Hi-Fi Rush, okay? Redfall, I will not play until they patch it to 60 because, like the gentleman just said, there's other stuff in there that I still have to play, right?
Right.
But when you have a subscription service, you have to continuously keep feeding it with content because if not, I will leave. I will leave.
Okay.
I will leave with the quickness, right?
Yes,
There's
yes.
no loyalty here. No, I will leave with the quickness. So for me, if you're asking, what do they have to get? No, get as much as you want. To me, as the consumer, I already subscribe to Game Pass. Now, someone mentioned about Matt Damon talking about Hollywood and what Netflix did to Hollywood. Okay, listen to this though, right? People don't talk about though how we were getting screwed by cable companies. And if you're smart right now, you don't buy cable. You don't have cable. Everything you need is on Netflix, Hulu, and Prime. If that. And it's cheaper than probably having cable.
On average, consumer is paying more for streaming services now than they did for cable before.
But you know what? They're happier.
No, but that
That's
conversation you're having, the argument you're having is like cable. We have streaming services.
I don't know if they're happier.
It was cheaper for people. Now I have Disney Plus. I got Hulu. I got fucking Peacock. I got fucking.
It's not about being cheaper. It's about being happier. Here's the deal, right? When you had cable and you were trying to watch a series, you had to sit there, then you watch the commercials, and then next week you had to come at the same time and watch, unless you had a TiVo machine, a box, or whatever.
Well,
I have an answer to that as well.
Hold on. Now with these subscription services, right? You can watch full series.
And there's no excitement. And there's no excitement behind it because you can watch a series in 3 days, and there's no. Listen, they've already. Listen to me. There's already been scientifically proven the fact of like people being more excited to watch a show on a weekly basis than in one shot and binge it.
Well,
because it's like
that's what HBO. Listen, guys, even Max, HBO Max, and even Apple TV now, they still release their shows once a week.
Thank you. That's why this guy's the host. That's why this guy's the host.
No. But what do you do in between? What do you do in between?
Watch another show.
It's more exciting.
Okay, so Game Pass, in between the new games coming out, I'm playing the old games. That's what you do in between. How you like me now? Checkmate. The same thing you do with these shows. When you're watching the show, you're going to wait for it to drop. But in between, you're watching other shows. Netflix is better than cable.
What?
Well, you can. There's also 300 channels on cable you can switch over and watch other things.
Yeah, but you're not picking. So here's the thing.
I actually like this guy. I like the way.
I do too. Doc's great, dude. Doc's great. Guys, you're seeing a couple guys. I told everyone 9 o'clock we were gonna end the show. A couple people. BRAP had to leave. Slow-mo had to leave. Eric had to leave.
Oh,
I do want to.
Yeah, I gotta leave too. Final Fantasy 16 is not a Final Fantasy game. I'm out.
Oh no, Badger. Doc, finish your thought. But I do want to ask J-Dub, are you back? Jay, is your mic working? Because Jay, you dropped. Not sure if Jay's still here. I want to ask Jay a question. But Doc, go ahead, finish your thought.
No, I'm here. I'm here, Mooch.
Oh, you are here, brother. All right.
Yeah.
Doc, did you finish your thought or no?
Yeah. So let me finish. So this is all I'm saying, right? Again, to just answer your question the short way, I'm looking at it from the gamer's perspective. Okay, I want more thing on this subscription service. That is what I want. You guys, but here's the thing, Mooch. I have since I've started doing this YouTube thing, I appreciate everyone that's given me a platform to talk. I have realized that I don't know as much and I don't have the history that all you guys have, right? So a certain part of me has to sit back and look at the quote unquote veterans of all this, right? And listen to what you guys have to say. Now, one thing that I do have is I have kids as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you something. These kids don't care about the same things that you and I care about. They don't care about owning games. They don't care about whether they have to buy the disc. They don't care about whether they're playing the game on the cloud or not, as long as it's gaming well. Like, they don't care about any of this stuff. And these gaming companies need to position themselves in that way, or else they're going to falter. That's why Nintendo is doing so great, because they know that their fan base don't care that it's a 720p screen.
Doc, a lot of things you
But they
said, a
deliver
lot of
high
things,
quality. That's
Exactly.
the difference.
right? The quality. That's all I've been saying all night is the
can't
quality.
get that quality for $10, $10 a month. I mean, I'm just looking at the reality of things, right? Let's say, and I'll tell you, Game Pass is great for those gamers who don't go out and buy games day one and who don't, play a lot of games and stuff like that, a lot of new games. It's for them. But as someone who goes and purchase all these brand new IPs that come out all the time, because they're great and stuff like that.
Well, the other thing too is when you say, Doc, Doc said one thing, Jay. He said, well, the kids don't care about owning their own copy. The physical digital conversation is pretty much, everything's gone digital for the most part. So that I agree with you, Doc. But when you say owning and not owning, wait till the kids are spending their own hard money on the game. Then they're going to be like, that better be mine.
They can't trade it in.
Right. Yeah. Or that better be mine, or don't take it away from me when Game Pass decides to take a game I like in there that's not first party, and they take it away from you in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, whenever they want to take it away.
They've been catered to that. They've already been catered to.
You never lose that feeling. You never lose that feeling of what you buy, you want to own. But look, I got a couple of super chats here, guys, and it is over the 9 o'clock hour. I do want to say thanks to everybody here. Shout out to Sir X-Man. He says the S was created, and he was kind of agreeing with you, Doc. Shout out to the great Sir X-Man. He says the S was created to get people used to going digital only. I think there was more to it than that, but that definitely was part of it, Sir X-Man. So I got to give Sir X-Man credit there. God Emperor Sofa King's here. He says, so once they use all the money, you'll all yell Monopoly. That's kind of what they're doing right now, Sofa King, is they're saying Microsoft's just running around. Right now is Activision, then EA will be next, and maybe Ubisoft after that. And we didn't even get a chance to get into it, and BRAP had to leave. I really wanted to get into some of the financial stuff that I was talking to BRAP about, but the show's already over 2 hours. Jamie, thank you. He says, at least we can all collect those backpacks at 60 FPS. I want to read it again. Eric B, thanks for subscribing. Antonio Alman says, Mooch, and I appreciate this. He says, Mooch, thanks to your show, man. I'm now informed about gaming. I am still hesitant about buying an Xbox. No reason for Microsoft to take my money. Antonio, my thing is this. I never say, don't buy an Xbox. Why would I ever say that? I own an Xbox. I would always say, listen, you go buy the games that interest you and the platform that they are on. That's where you should be playing and buying and spending your money. I don't ever get on here and tell you not to buy Xbox. I never say Xbox is just garbage. I'm concerned about Xbox's quality. I'm extremely concerned about Xbox's leadership. I've said that for years now. People are just coming around now. You listen to a lot of shows. They're like, I'm worried about leadership. I've been saying that for about 3 years. This has been a problem when everyone thought that Phil and company was going to be the next, saving grace. The jury's still out. Like, what's that new IP that you guys just can't wait that came from Xbox Studios? I know you're all going to say Starfield in unison. That's fine. That's fine. If Starfield's what you've really been waiting for since the Xbox One X came out, more power to you. I will not talk you out of that. But shout out to Antonio. I appreciate that. Your boy Roy says, Doc just said he uses Game Pass to play old games, which is the quality people want from Xbox, not the current games that he's not playing. That's interesting. He's trying to say that the older games are the quality, Doc, And that's what I was saying with Gears 1, 2, and 3 and the initial Halo games. I feel like, you could sit here and say they're beautiful and Halo Infinite's multiplayer was polished, but where's the rest of that campaign? When I had people on the show in the industry, they were talking on this very show. They said, Mooch, you just wait. The reason the world is so big in Halo Infinite is part 2 of the campaign's going to come out and they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Where is it?
Got axed.
It's gone.
All axed.
It's gone.
Yep.
So
it left with Joseph Staten.
But see, Doc is coming from, he did throw that disclaimer out there earlier when he said,
oh yeah,
he missed a generation and stuff, so he's playing a lot of catch up. So he's been playing a lot of old stuff. So for him, he comes in, there's his services, all this stuff that he didn't play.
Yep.
He's having a buffet of stuff.
Yeah, he's got a buffet.
Him.
Yes.
But now here's the thing. for everybody else who didn't miss it a generation, who's been here waiting E3 after E3, wait for E3, wait to Comic-Con, wait for this, right? We're waiting for stuff that never comes, or you just never get that big something that we've been looking for Xbox to kind of push it over the edge. That's where they differ from Dark, you know, for you guys. It's just not there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying copy Sony and get The Last of Us or God of War, something like that. But it's like, I remember back, and I keep telling everybody this, back in the 360 era, when 360 first came out, when they showed that Gears of War trailer, right? When they showed that trailer,
the Mad World,
Mad World, that trailer there sold me on that console, and nothing else could touch it. Nothing else could get to my heart like that.
That's when Xbox was run by gamers, though.
I'm just saying that we still waited for the Xbox One generation for that to come back. We waited for this generation for that to come back, and now for us to listen to Phil and these guys in his courtroom and basically the direction they've been they changed directions on us and letting us know we're never going to get that again, and they're moving away. And now people are like, well, think about the kids, and it's about the kids doing this and that. It's like, I don't care. Gaming is selfish. It's about what I want. And as a hardcore gamer, as someone who's willing to spend $70,
I respect that, Jay. I respect
for a great AAA quality game that blows his mind. I don't care. Like, offer something for everybody, but don't forget about me, because I'm the one to help you get there. And now you're pivoting in a totally different direction that's leaving me behind. This is why I care about the console. I know a lot of people say, well, just go to PC, just play on your little PC, or just play on your, you know. I don't care. I don't want that. I want my console. I want you to focus on my console.
Jay, the problem is that they don't want. So the average demographic right now for gamers is 30 to 35 years old. That's the average demographic right now. But the problem is they don't want you. What they want is they want that kid. They want that kid who's going to put their dad's credit card on file and buy a fucking shit ton of gun skins and make money that way.
Yes.
But here's what my kids do, right? They have Xbox Series X and Series S. Go in their room, what they're playing, fucking Roblox. That's literally what they're playing.
Yeah.
And then my other son, he plays COD in 2K. That's his deal.
Yep.
But and then here I am playing the God of War, playing the Last of Us, playing all of this, you know, the big stuff, right? And I'm waiting for Starfield. I hope it's great. I'm
Me too.
Day one, you know. I bought the controllers and the headset and the collector's edition. You know, y'all know I get all of this shit, right? I even got the Black Series S pre-order, right? But I want what I'm getting on my PlayStation, the big blockbuster $200 million, $300 million game. I want that on my Xbox. And is that so hard for me to ask? Especially after last generation, they promised all of that stuff. So I was waiting since the Xbox One X, right? We thought that was going to give it to us. Then the X Series X, we thought that. And now they moved, and that's like a sour taste in my mouth. It's like, we waited all these fucking years just for you to come out and say, that's okay, we're going to different. That's like
because you're talking about a time
for me, and I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm just giving you my own what I take personally out of gaming.
You're talking about a time to which, though, is like you're talking about sharks tasting blood in the water. Before, like the microtransaction thing and all this, like games as live service, this is what ruined gaming as a whole for the demographic that you are and that I am. Okay, that will no longer be, because gaming now has seen a different type of reality. They've seen a reality to which they don't have to really try hard and just release a shit ton of garbage DLC and like fluffer shit and get money for it. So those days are over.
The highest making games are free to play. You guys realize that?
True.
Mobile and free to play.
What you guys are failing to realize is that Nintendo, they're still dropping Zelda, Tears of right? No. Sony, right? They're still dropping the God of Wars and like even though, I don't mind. They can embrace all of that stuff. I'm not against anybody embracing other things. But Sony and Nintendo are still spending hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever because they have a fan base that they have to cater to, and they still are releasing those big blockbuster expensive games. They're still doing that. There is no reason that Microsoft can't do that just because everybody's doing this other shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they got the money to do it.
Yeah. That's
why they can't, right? I don't mind them going into all these other areas and putting their hands in the pot. But don't forget about me. Like, still, it's like I feel like they're exiting me out and just embracing other stuff that's that's the quick fast buck.
That's it. And Jay, I kind of feel the way that you feel with that, because me and you have the same situation with family and the way that we came up through, right? Same story we have with Xbox. My Xbox 360 game sold me was Gears of War. That's it. And I'm more of a Gears head than I am a Halo person. I appreciate Halo. I respect it, which is why I miss it a bit, but I really miss Gears.
Yeah.
And Gears is like I said, it just seems like they're not trying to reach out, and we're the ones, whether Doc's making a point too earlier, whether it's us as the parent reaching into the wallet paying, or it's for us or for the kids. Like, my point being is, like, what about us too? And I feel like that's the one thing. I will say this much. Shout out to the great Sir X, man. I did miss one. He said Activision's been there since 1976, oldest developer. So shout out to Sir X, man. I appreciate that. Lord Metroid is a massive Nintendo Switch fan, and I love that he's always here every week. He also has like a force field around him. Nintendo can do no wrong, right, guys? Everybody said. So Nintendo is all about gameplay. That's what matters. Listen, Nintendo does it right. I understand that Nintendo games may not be for everybody, especially everybody in the chat right now. But what they put out is generally, outside of that one Pokemon issue they had this year, is fairly polished, or if not 100% polished. And look at just, even when they make an animated movie, they're over $1.4 billion already on that.
Yeah,
so
they're just different.
Yeah, they're just right. They're just built different, Doc. That being said, guys, I did promise everybody 9 o'clock. We are gonna kind of hightail it out of here. I want to say shout out to everybody that was here. I'm gonna do a quick outro for each of them, but I'll start with the ones that are here. The great J-Dub. Jay, thanks for being here tonight, buddy. I really appreciate it. Let everybody know they can find you. And like I say, thanks for spending 2 hours with us here on a Friday night.
Definitely, brother. You guys can find me on Twitter, kicking up dust at JDubCity16. You guys can also find me on YouTube every now and then at JDub4U. And again, thanks for the invite. It's always good chopping it up. Everybody on the panel, all you guys.
Appreciate that, Jay. Thank you. And Doc, honestly, listen, I know you always feel like, I only brought you on here to get something. No, listen, man, I love when you're on CrossFire, man, because like the whole idea of this show is to have somebody that wants to do what you did. Fire back with your true heart, your chest out, right? But then you also ask a question to the panel that you know is going to get a bit of everybody a bit excitable. So I love it. Doc, honestly, you're built for this show. So, Doc, listen, let everybody know where they can find you. And as always, man, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. I'm glad J-Dub was on here as well. Jay shows me mad love on Twitter as well. We have fun going back and forth, so I appreciate it. And then the whole panel, man, this is the way you do it. We got passionate, we argued, but again, nobody got disrespectful, and I really appreciate that. You can find me DocDark1985. That's my YouTube channel. That's my Twitch channel. That's my gamer tag across all platforms. And yeah, I make content and I have fun doing this. So if you guys see me, messing around, joking around, whatever, I don't take any of this stuff serious. I just have fun with it.
Yeah, that's the way to be, Doc. Doc, thanks for making such a good point. Everyone's saying great show. Wild Wolf, thank you. Mary Wilcox, Silver King, thank you guys so much. I appreciate all you guys. Guys, I want to say what Doc just said is 100%. It. That's why I love having the show. I love Crossfire. I love the passion that we've been doing this for decades. And I don't care. Doc says he just got into it. Doc's a quick learner, man. Doc jumped right into Crossfire day one. It's been like he's been doing this for 30 years, so he already knows. It's the best part of the show. Shout out to everybody here. Gregory Von Doom, he says, will Mooch be able to get a word in? Tune in next week to find out. Gregory Von Doom, I appreciate that. You must be catching the early part of the show. Shout out to Dave Rock, too. He says, we appreciate it. Let me give a couple shout outs real quick. Shout out to Jez7780 who had to go, but he's got his Gaming Groundhouse show Monday nights, 8 o'clock Eastern time. BRAP had a bounce, but it's Basement Radio Arcade Podcast Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Slow-Mo does DPS with the Great Gaming Forte Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Shout out to King Thresh. King Thresh does a show like at least 3 times a week. Go check out the Roundtable, and he's at Do What You Do 6 over on Twitter. Generally, if I just had to take a stab at it, because he always says, how about we do Roundtable tonight? But he'll do a Roundtable sometimes on a Friday night after this show. He'll do sometimes on a Monday night, usually 6 p.m. Pacific time. Shout out to Eric Jackson, the voice of reason. Appreciate him being here as well. And Button Basher, who had to leave to go do his podcast. He's going to start in just about 35 minutes. If you guys aren't podcasted out yet, go over and check out Button Basher. He does a great show over there, and that's at Button Basher for Life on Twitter. Guys, I want to say thanks for all the super chats. Let me take a second to thank the great Silent Merc. Silent Merc, thank you so much tonight for all the gifted subs that you put out there. Thank you for joining the channel, becoming a VIP Mooch Maniac. It really means the world to me. All of you guys, thank you so much. We'll be back next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I just got the Synapse game. I always call it Synapse. Hopefully I'm saying it right. For PSVR 2, I would like to put together a quick 5 to 7 minute review of it out after this weekend. So we'll see how that goes too. Guys, that being said, hit the like button on the way out, the subscribe button, and we'll see you next Friday. Peace out and good night.